I am a Liverpudlian, and I come from the Spion Cup. I love to sing, I love to shout, I get thrown out quite a lot. We support the team that's dressed in red. It's a team that you all know. It's a team that we call Liverpool, and to glory we will go.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Plastic Scousers podcast. As you may have noticed, I am Owen Collins, and as this is a special podcast, I am the lead host for this very special edition of our show. I thank you all for having dressed up in your finest attire, and hope you enjoyed the complimentary glass of £4 Aldi Carver, as I welcome you to the Plastic Scousers end of season 2018-19 awards ceremony. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You are far too kind. Thank you. And joining me tonight for this special celebration of a fantastic season for Liverpool Football Club is my co-host, a man who has for the last 4 years embarrassed me with countless introductions involving excruciating and embarrassing details about my personal life. And now, finally, I have been afforded the chance to enact my revenge. So here it goes. This is my co-host, a man who once was...
Look. Oh, we've been talking for ages now. You haven't explained anything, and we've got to get on with this. My name's Matt Simpson, and welcome to the show. For the next few hours, we'll be handing out our coveted Plastic Scouser awards to the best and worst in an astonishing season for Liverpool Football Club.
Unbelievable.
Throughout the show, we will also be offering a series of interludes in which myself and my co-host, who blathers on like an idiot, will attempt to a number of challenges based on predictions we made throughout the season. And we may have one or two surprises along the way as well.
Oh, of course.
So without further ado, Owen, let's introduce our first category and get on with this, shall we?
Fine, right. I'm only reading your script, Matt. Yes, let's begin our festivities. Well, our first category of the award ceremony is for the Academy/Loaned Player of the Season.
Yes, we used to call this the Young Player of the Year, but the problem is our Young Player of the Year is always Trent Alexander-Arnold, and now he's a Champions League winner, and he's a senior member of the squad. So I thought we'd tweak it a bit, just so we can kind of talk. It's essentially a category for players who have done really well, but not actually with the first team, if that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And I think the first one that we should talk about is Harry Wilson.
Yeah, he's top of my list as well.
Yeah. Gone to Derby under Frank Lampard, who was quite impressive, actually. He's now at Chelsea, of course, so clearly something works out for him, you know, apart from the circumstances that led him there. Played really well, got to the playoff final, and lost Villa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, lost to Villa in the playoff final. But Harry Wilson was their best player. Oh, certainly up there for one of their best players. It looked like head and shoulders above the rest. Scored fantastic goals. Was clearly one of their best creative forces,
including against Man United.
Well, I was about to say, like, if for no other reason alone, scoring a belting free kick from 25 yards at Old Trafford. When was the last time a Liverpool player did that?
Probably like Danny Murphy.
Exactly right.
Or maybe Andrea Docena. You know, there's many ways to endear yourself to your parent club, but scoring against their fiercest rivals is definitely up there with the best of them.
Did they knock them out of that? 'Cause it was the League Cup, was it?
It was League Cup. He knocked them out, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how awesome. At Old Trafford.
At the first opportunity as well. It was a League Cup third round. It was Man United's first and only game of a League Cup this season.
Extraordinary, right?
Would have been even sweeter if we hadn't been knocked out 24 hours later. But at least that was by Chelsea, not by Derby County.
Exactly, yeah. No, what a phenomenal season he had.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant.
Like it was funny because every week I'd check on the BBC website or I'd watch Sky Sports News, whatever. His name would pop up for the Championship every week. You couldn't avoid it. And if that doesn't show you how good he was...
Well, he's a very eye-catching player as well, isn't he? He's not just one of those really good players. He's got that sort of skill and flair where he does catch your eye, and that's important.
Dare I say the X Factor almost. That little something. You know, that little something that makes a player very special.
Yeah, dare away. But is it enough, do you think? Because we're speaking now in August.
Well, yeah, but now we know he's on loan at Bournemouth.
He's on loan at Bournemouth.
Yeah.
Which is a big step up if you think he first went out on loan at Crewe Alexandra, and then he went to Hull.
He was really good at Hull.
He was
half
really
the
good
season
at
he
Hull.
was phenomenal.
Yeah. And so he went to a sort of bottom half Championship side, then he went to a top half challenging for a promotion championship side. Now he's on loan to a Premiership side. You know, his trajectory is undeniable, but are we ever going to see him in a Liverpool shirt again?
It's so frustrating because I think all the fans want him to be.
Yeah.
All the fans. But is there just something about him that Jurgen Klopp doesn't quite get?
I think
because Jurgen Klopp has that about him.
Yeah.
If he just does, if he doesn't get you, or you aren't just getting what he wants,
if you don't quite,
goodbye.
Yeah. If you don't fit into this quite narrow mould, you've got no future at the club.
Yeah.
It seems quite harsh, and it's actually put paid to
well, he
a lot of players.
Wilson scored a couple in pre-season. He looked really good, and I think for me, the loan to Bournemouth, like if he was going to be loaned to anybody, I almost would have put them at top of the list or right up there in terms of a not top 6 but middle tier Premier League side who play good football, who he'll learn a lot from. You know?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And a good dynamic side under Eddie Howe's management.
Yeah, who I think is an amazing manager.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
You know what? Something mind blowing about Harry Wilson?
Go on.
He made his senior international debut 6 years ago.
Yeah, 16 years old, wasn't he?
Yeah, 2013.
Played years before he even touched the Liverpool pre-season tour. Or whatever.
Oh God, years. Yeah. I mean,
that almost feels like they did it just so he wouldn't play for England.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because he'd be excellent for England. But I mean, I was still at uni when he made his international debut. You'd only just graduated yourself. Jamie Carragher had only just retired when Harry Wilson made his senior international debut.
Now he looks old, like a grey. You know, his hair's grey and stuff. Yeah.
Jamie Carragher.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's getting on. But
getting on, man.
I mean, that's a kind of mind-blowing fact that he was making his debut when Brendan Rodgers had only been there a year,
and now he's not, like caressing the edges of the senior squad.
Yeah, it's a sort of meteoric rise, but it's a very slow one.
I was going to say it's the opposite of meteoric.
Yeah.
It's a very gradual and progressive rise, at a safe pace. Yeah, he was top of my list. But let's talk about a few others.
Yes, let's. Well, I'd like to nominate a bit of a left field choice next.
Oh, left winger?
No.
Oh.
But that would make sense.
Harry Wilson does play on the left a lot, by the way.
Centre midfielder. Someone who is a name not as well known to Liverpool fans as Harry Wilson, because there's not really been the same clamour for him to get in the squad. He's not made the same sort of appearances in pre-season as Harry Wilson has. In fact, his only ever appearance with first team was as an unused substitute in the summer of 2015. Yeah, or maybe 2016. But anyway, he's never actually played for Liverpool first team, but he went out on loan for the first time this year and made an incredible impact as Doncaster Rovers nearly got promoted from League One. Herbie Kane.
I mean, okay. And your reasons why are?
He went straight into their side and started playing as if he'd been there for years. He won, I think it was a Fans Player of the Year award at the end of the season.
Yeah.
The manager, Grant McCann, who is no longer at Doncaster, he's now at Hull, absolutely loved him. He was an ever-present in their side, one of the first names on the team sheet. Registering assists, goal here and there. And, and it's a bit of a cliche, but these aren't my words, but he was compared to that other great Liverpool midfielder, Steven Gerrard, at one point during that run. And he signed a new long-term contract with Liverpool in January. He was only supposed to be on loan there till January, but Doncaster loved him so much they kept him for the whole season, but only after Liverpool had agreed that they'd only do that if they could extend his contract. So clearly they see something in him, Doncaster see something in him, and their fans love him. He didn't feature at all in our pre-season this summer, which I was quite surprised and disappointed by, because he was definitely one of our standout loanies last year. So it's inevitable that he'll probably go out again somewhere on loan in the next couple of weeks. But it's a shame that he didn't get a chance in first team. I think it's just because our midfield is so heavily stacked with quality players. We've got about 9 first choice senior midfielders for what is basically 3 positions. So it's a big ask to break into that, but I was hoping we'd at least see a bit of him, to get a bit of a flavour of him. But ask any Doncaster fan and they will rave about him, and they will be gutted they can't get him back for this season. But Herbie Kane had a great season, completely under the radar, but is making a name for himself.
Nice. I like that's articulate. I mean, I'll be honest, he's not on my list. I hadn't necessarily thought of him. Where is he? So where's he gone this year? Is he gone somewhere?
No. So he's still
at the club.
He's still in that weird limbo between being slightly the generation above the under 23s. If you look at, they're now picking players from the under 18s last year, like Duncan and Glatzel. So he's kind of slightly above that, but he's not really in the first team picture.
Yeah.
So he's kind of lost in that sort of Lloyd Jones never zone, where you're kind of...
I mean, you sort of never come out of there, really, do you?
Yeah, well, that's the problem. Your
It's
contract,
like the ether or the purgatory.
yeah, your contract of a club doesn't expire for a couple of years, but you're not in one manager's plans or the other. And so you're sort of training with both teams, getting a game here and there, but sort of, yeah. And so I really hope that we actually... Because it's clear there's no plans to use him in first team this year at all. So he's one of those few young players that I actually am really hoping does get loaned out. And normally I favour young players sticking around and being part of the first team setup, getting a few games here and there. But Kane, I do really want to go out on loan because I want him to develop. I want to see more of him because I do think, there's something there. He's got that spark. I wouldn't say it's the X factor,
No.
but he's got that sort of slightly rugged charge about him that could take him quite far.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I hadn't thought about it, but good nomination nonetheless.
Thank you.
I want to talk about Ryan Kent,
Yes.
who went off to Rangers. So here's the thing. Gerrard was manager of our young players before he's gone to Rangers, right? And you kind of assumed, he's going to take several of them and they're going to go up there and, they're all going to thrive together. This was the only guy who actually was loaned up there. So he bought John Flanagan, outright. That was a sale.
Yeah.
And then loaned Ryan Kent. And then there's a lot of talk of, Solanke might go up there and, this, that and the other might go up there. But Ryan Kent was the actual only loanee up there.
Well, don't forget that for a while, Ovi Ajaria was on loan up there.
Yeah, and it didn't work out at all for him, though.
No.
Mainly for home reasons, from what I read.
We're not sure what happened there.
I think he had problems living there and all the rest of it and, whatever. But Ryan Kent, I mean, let's put it this way. So at the end of this summer, when Rangers admitted they basically couldn't get Ryan Kent because we're only willing to sell him, they were absolutely, gutted.
Yeah.
Right? He made a huge impression there. He played most games. He was, on the starting 11 of the second best Scottish side that there was. Gerrard found that he was just one of the, most creative, influential players, scored a number of goals for them, including a number of significant goals in games when they were trying to chase Celtic down in, particularly around the turn of the time where, Kilmarnock were top of the league and, under Steve Clarke, who, I know his son, former Liverpool Irish, of course.
Yeah.
Yep. Used to, former number 2 at Liverpool. And he was a hugely significant player for them at that point. Played really well, relatively. Has always been on the cusp of the first team, much more so than Herbie Kane, for example. Every pre-season he's always there, and every pre-season he always ends up disappearing. It almost feels unfair to keep him because if he's that, if people want him, he was about to go to Leeds, and I don't think it just didn't quite work out.
Well, 2 years ago he had an amazing pre-season for us, just before he joined.
He went to Germany, right?
He went to Freiburg on loan, but he's had that summer we played in the Asia Trophy and then the Audi Cup, and he was one of our standout players of pre-season.
Totally young players, yeah.
But even he looked at home in the first team, and there was a lot of clamour then to keep him around the squad for the 17-18 season. Instead, he went on quite an ambitious loan move to Freiburg.
It doesn't seem that ambitious, though.
Well, I think
a lower tiered top German division side. I'd have put him in a lower, a bottom 6 British side. Same thing, really.
But I think it's I know what you mean. But I think it's ambitious for any young player to go abroad.
I don't think it is anymore, though.
It's not anymore.
It's happening so much more regularly now.
Well, it is now, but 2 years ago it was still quite
I guess the Jadon Sancho thing was such a big thing.
Yeah.
And it's worked out so well.
Reece Nelson from Arsenal. But when Kent went out there, he was a bit of a trailblazer. And unfortunately, he didn't turn into a Jadon Sancho. He had quite a torrid time of it.
I don't think he ever settled in Germany and stuff. It wasn't for him.
And that could have finished his hopes. But he's come back. He's been so strong for Rangers this year. He won the Scottish PFA Young Player of the Year award.
That good. In a season where, as I say, it wasn't just Celtic for most of the season.
Yeah.
Kilmarnock were up there. Hearts were up there. Rangers were until the last sort of 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Rangers were genuine title contenders. And he was one of the biggest parts of that. For a lone player to get that experience, Harry Wilson at Derby County had amazing experience, got to the playoff final, almost got a team promoted. That's a fantastic experience. Ryan Kent had just as much, and had just as much of an influence on his side.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I think he's a fantastic nominee. I had him down as well.
Yeah, so let's move on. Who else have we got?
Well, I had all three of the ones we've talked about so far.
Yeah. Which means that they would,
Which means they're good nominees. If I had to pick a fourth, I mean, I would probably go for someone like, thinking of the low knee players, at least Tyro Oniyi.
Okay, so not academy players. You won't consider any of the academy guys then? Because it's a Loney academy.
Loney or academy. Well, I know more about the Lonies than the academy players.
Okay, fair enough.
I do feel like you're about to talk about a couple of the academy players.
I have a couple in mind.
So I will save that for you rather than duplicate.
And you'll do Tawa.
Exactly. He's got a street named after him in Nigeria.
He had a terrible first half of the season, though.
He did.
He went to. You okay? You just clipped yourself with
I just caught my finger.
He was playing with a plug and it hurt him.
Plug socket. Don't do it, kids.
Yeah, put the plug down. Don't run with scissors and don't play with plug sockets.
Stings like a bitch, I tell you.
Well, come on, you got to explain to me.
He had a really bad season with Ghent. He'd been on loan the previous season with Royal XL Mouscron and had a pretty successful time with it. Played 31 times in all competitions and scored 10. That's basically a goal every third game. That's pretty good odds for a young striker. Still wasn't enough to get him a work permit, so at the beginning of the season he went out on loan with Ghent, also in Belgium First Division, where he had a much less successful time. He scored 3 times in 21 appearances, so the ratio dropped to a goal in every 7. But come January, they cancelled the season-long loan because he wasn't really playing or progressing, and he went back to Royal XL Mouscron where he was last year and had a much better time of it and started banging in the goals again, got his confidence back. He was unlucky, many would say, to miss out on Nigeria's African Cup of Nations squad this summer. Unlucky for him because he'd had a good season, especially a good second half of the season. Unlucky for Nigeria because he might have helped them get a bit further in competition. And unlucky for us because that sort of exposure would have invariably helped towards him getting a work permit in the UK, which is what he hasn't got, which is why 4 years after signing for us we've still never seen him in even a pre-season friendly for Liverpool first team. There was speculation he might pop up in pre-season this year, because I don't think you need a work permit to play in friendlies, but he didn't, and instead he went out on loan again to Mainz.
It's not a bad move.
Not a bad move at all. Brendan Rodgers, Jurgen Klopp's old club.
Are they still top tier of Germany?
I believe so, yeah. I think they're still Bundesliga.
They're kind of like, sort of like a Burnley-ish in terms of the top Bundesliga.
Yeah.
So they're in and amongst it, and they're not relegation threatened really, but they're,
they're kind of one
lower
of
to mid-tier.
Yeah, sort of mid-table Bundesliga sides. But that's a big step up from Belgian First Division still.
Oh, hugely, yeah.
And, that's a reward for his progress. He's a very talented young striker. And I do believe that if it wasn't for the fact he's Nigerian, that he's struggling to get a work permit, we would be talking about him in the same sort of breath as we talk about people like Kent, say, because he would ultimately be out on loan in this country doing the business. I think
what's interesting about Tawa Mani is that he's a very different type of striker to anything else we have. But from what I've read and heard of him, it's almost the sort of striker we could do with. Because Bobby Firmino is obviously not really a striker, but a striker. Like in terms of he's the ultimate kind of he plays almost like a midfielder up front kind of thing, but he's far more than that. And then you've got Divock Origi, who's a bigger, taller, faster player who can work as a bit of like a more direct style of football. And then Ryan Brewster, who's a young talent but ultimately looks very quick, explosive, like a winger playing up front. We don't have necessarily a sort of Oxlade-Chamberlain up front kind of player, which apparently is what Tony is like. And also I can tell you he's very good in FIFA.
Is he?
Very good. He came back, and obviously in FIFA you don't have to worry about work permits and stuff. And I put him straight. I put him on. I put him in for a couple of cup games. Bossed it. Yeah. Quick, fast, powerful. Picks up the ball. Good with the pass. Good with his feet. Gets. Ends up being my second striker. Gave him Mignolet's 22, and I sold him. Felt like a good number for him.
You sold who?
I thought, Mignolet he left, and I've given him number 22 just because I thought, well, suited him. Felt like Titi Kamara style,
Yeah.
So
I see him as more
totally divergent, but at the same time,
I see him as more of a 35. I don't know why.
Well, potato, tomato, ketchup. It's either way. It's the fact he keeps being mentioned, even though he can't play for it. In the way that Alan has just disappeared off the face of the earth.
Yeah, Alan is not.
And he was the guy who Klopp said, "I desperately want to keep this kid" when he first joined. So there was clearly something there, but it hasn't worked out for him. But at least Oni is still in the frame.
Alan isn't worth bothering with anymore. But I think Awani is. Alan was really badly managed. He needed a certain level of exposure, a certain pedigree of league to get
a certain team probably. Who would manage him in the right way.
Well, you need to be a certain level of national league to get you wait the work permit authorities will say playing in the Azerbaijani league is not the same as playing in the German league,
which is fair.
And so where do we send Alan out on loan? Cyprus.
Because probably no one else would take him, to be fair. That's the problem.
But I mean, we send him to Finland, and then we send him to Cyprus, and then we eventually send him to Eintracht Frankfurt this year. And we wonder why he's not lived up to his potential. He's been terribly managed, that kid. And I do feel sorry for him, but now he's at Fluminense, and he's probably just going to sign for them at the end, come December.
Back in Brazil, yeah. Which is sad, but it's also...
time to cut the losses, sadly. But
yeah, well, it's like the same as Anderson Arroyo.
Well, Anderson Arroyo was heavily linked with being in the pre-season this year. He was...
Really?
On our first day back...
Because it's only his second year with us, so
yeah.
He's a bit like earlier in that kind of stage.
On our first day back at Melwood this year, because we were so depleted with all the international tournaments going on, Anderson Arroyo was in the squad.
Oh, really?
He was even given a shirt number.
Really?
Yeah.
What number was that?
I
don't know why I care, but I really do. Makes no odds. 61, I'm guessing, maybe.
I think it was 61.
No, was it?
That used to be Paulo Alves's, and I think it was, yeah.
Oh, really?
I'm not sure what it was. It was something like that. It's probably gone to someone else now, but yeah, I think it was 61. I think it actually was.
Wow, what a guess.
Yeah, it's a hell of a guess. Well, Anderson Arroyo, yeah, he was even given a shirt number, but my point was that he never actually features, and it's weird. But Taiwo Awoniyi, of all our work permit struggling players, I think he's the best.
Cool. And I think, yeah, he had a good second half of the season for sure. It's worth mentioning. I mean, loanee, because we've got the academy / loanee player, we can put players who are a bit older. So I've thrown Marko Grujic in there. Because, well, let's put it this way. Hertha Berlin's manager called him the best central midfielder they've had in 2 decades. Is that not enough in itself to go, wow, hang on a minute, and Hertha Berlin are not to be sniffed at as a club, right? Apparently, they love him over there. Well, he's gone back on loan again this year. Like, he'll probably end up being sold for a load of money. Yeah. It's just a shame, because I like Marko Grujic. There's something about him I was quite endeared to. Mainly it was that header against Barcelona in that pre-season game, which was crazy. That
was fantastic. That.
Yeah, what a header. Had a phenomenal season. Played almost every game. Hugely influential on Hertha Berlin's side, who were mid-table, but the fact of the matter is, with how many of our loan players, looking at Danny Ings, who technically could have counted for this category, although obviously he's not going to come back, but he went out there and I actually thought he'd be really good for Southampton. I thought he was a perfect fit, but he got a lot of injuries and it just didn't work out for him, right? But he's now there and hopefully it'll kick on. But Marko Grujic went out there and basically stamped his authority and made his career. Because before that he was kind of floating around. He'd been to Cardiff and did well, but they couldn't get him back, or didn't want him back, or he didn't want to go back. I don't quite know what happened there. And so he went to Hertha and blew up. And he loved it, and they loved it. And it's quite interesting that's, with Cardiff having really wanted him, now Hertha Berlin having had him for twice and going, wow, why he's not had a look in with us. Because if he's that good, and evidently he must be, there's got to be some talent there.
Well, again, our midfield is so heavily stacked. Who's he going to take out the side?
Well, I think he could be a supplement for Fabinho. Because he has a very similar play style, similar mould, defensive-minded midfielder. More like that would be where I'd put him as a number 2. Because no one else plays like Fabinho does.
No.
And I think Grujic could if anyone else could. And I think he's absolutely worth nominating here.
Yeah, fair enough.
Have you got anyone else?
That's all that I've got.
Okay.
Have you got?
Well, I'll talk a little bit about the academy.
Yeah.
I think the 2 standout players that almost need to be mentioned in tandem were Bobby Duncan and Paul Glatzel.
Absolutely.
Who tore every team they played to shreds. Every week, because I'm on the LSE TV Go, so I'm always keeping up to date with it. Every week it was Bobby Duncan scores or Paul Glatzel scores in this. And their record was between them 1 goal a game. Between the 2 of them. It's crazy.
That is mad.
They had a complete, they both of them were far too good almost for the quality that they had. Sadly, Paul Glatzel's now got a horrible injury that's going to keep him out for a long time.
Well, about half a season, I reckon. So.
But that's for a young player. That can be very debilitating. Yeah.
But Klopp has said that when he comes back, he will be one of his boys.
Yeah, like Bobby Duncan as well.
So he's basically going into a first team setup.
Yeah, like Brewster did and Trent did, obviously. Yeah. And Bobby Duncan, who we did see in pre-season, scored very early in our pre-season tournament. So clearly he's got something. I don't know if you ever saw. He did an interview for LSE TV soon afterwards, and he's so Scouse. He's almost impossible to understand Scouse.
You can tell by looking at him that way, can't you?
He's a bit. He looks a bit like the Adam Webster, the guitarist guy who does the Virgil van Dijk song and all that. Adam Webster? No. Jamie Webster.
Jamie Webster, yeah.
Yeah, he looks a bit like him.
The love child of Jamie Webster and Conor Randall.
Yeah, a little bit.
that kind of brick shithouse kind of build.
Tank, but also with a sort of babyish face type of thing. But apparently he's deadly, and we proved it in pre-season as well. But
Absolutely.
I mean, last year they tore the league to shreds. They were like so deadly, and like if you look at them now, like Paul Gasol has this horrible injury, but Bobby Duncan scored in pre-season, and I don't think he's going to be disappearing. I think he'll be in that kind of category of somebody who will almost definitely be on the bench once this season. That's how I see it.
I hope so.
Yeah. Like I don't know if you know much more about them or if you.
No more than you've already said.
Yeah. Makes sense, but like.
I know that they're kind of just got that reputation for being all conquering in the academy sides in the same way that someone like Neil Mellor was.
Yeah.
Sort of 2002, 2003. That Neil Mellor was scoring like 17 goals in like 4 games or something like that. So
it's crazy.
It's that incredible strike rate that obviously scoring at academy level is one thing, scoring in senior is a very different thing. As Neil Mellor found out, but
he did.
But he did, and Neil Mellor helped us win the Champions League in the long run. So let's be optimistic. Bobby Duncan does the same thing. Absolutely,
and he's a lot younger. And hopefully Paul Gasol gets over his injury quick enough so we can see him as well. So they were my nominations for the academy. But I think you and I probably both. Well, you just told me it was your top nomination, so.
Yeah, I don't think we can look past him really for just the sheer eye-catching level of his skills. A really good season in a side challenging for promotion to Premiership, and the fact that he scored against Man United. Yeah,
a worldie from 25-yard free kick at Old Trafford to beat them and knock them out of the competition.
It can only be
Harry Wilson. Good luck at Bournemouth, Harry.
Good luck. Come back soon.
Yes. Absolutely, that was a good noise.
It was.
I enjoyed that noise.
Aluminium on glass, it seems, is a secret.
Well, because it was empty, there's like an echo chamber in there. I think that's what's done it. Our next awards, the second award of the night, is the Jurgen Klopp Awards, which we give out every year since Jurgen's joined us. This is the award for comedy and general larks, i.e. the funniest, silliest moment of the year that made us laugh that we wouldn't otherwise talk about. Now, I firstly would like to nominate something that happened. Well, I mean, the Barcelona game, which if you looked at it from a sort of objective view, is actually quite funny in itself, considering how crazy it was. And during the crazy interview that he did, he basically said the F word. He was like, that was effing crazy.
Are we not allowed to say the F word on this podcast?
Well, I try and avoid it if I can, only because I have to bleep it otherwise. And so I don't like to have to stress for hours and put the bleeps in. So if I say fuck, I'm really annoyed. But yeah, so he swears basically on live television, because obviously it's going out live on BT later, like the sort of companion show, because it's like 10:30 at this point.
The extra factor.
Yeah, and it comes back to Gary Lineker in the studio, who obviously would have to apologise, like, because that's what producers tell him to do, and it's whatever. And he goes, I was told I need to apologise for this, but no, I'm not gonna. It's ridiculous what just happened, and it's after the watershed, so no, I'm not gonna do that. And it was great because like. I can imagine there are producers in his ear who are like stressing and going, oh God, we've got meetings tomorrow. And it was ridiculous. But he's right. After the watershed, 10 p.m. Like, we'd all seen what just happened. It was so bizarrely brilliant.
If you can't swear then, when can you swear?
Never.
Literally.
That
is like perfect F-bomb territory.
Yeah. And so, watching that back and just like, it's so emotional, it's so crazy. And then that happened and it was just so funny. Like, such a simple swear word and such a simple kind of reaction to the whole thing. And it was like, yeah, we're all thinking it. We're all thinking, F this, what the hell just happened? Especially the Barcelona players.
It was. Well, I would like to nominate a similar thing. I'd like to nominate Jurgen Klopp again for his own award, but one game later for his actual celebrations following the Champions League win, because of just the definition of exuberance. There's lots of different aspects to this, and I feel we should roll them all into one nomination, but we should definitely talk about all of them. For a start, there was that post-match interview after a Champions League win where he acknowledged that a lot of people had sort of said he was always a bridesmaid, never a bride. He'd lost a lot of finals. He was, got no experience of actually winning trophies and cup finals. And then he said, but now, let's talk about 6, baby. Let's talk about you and me. And he grabbed the microphone and he stared right down the camera and he delivered this rap. which, I mean, I don't know about you. I didn't know all of the words to that.
I mean, it's a song from the early mid-90s.
Yeah.
I was barely, 4 or 5 years old.
I mean, I was barely that. And I knew Let's Talk About Sex, baby. And at a push, I might have been able to say Let's Talk About You and Me. But let's talk about all the good times and the bad times that may be. Not at all. He was performing an educational service as much as an entertaining one. It's like the Briefian principles of the BBC: inform, educate, and entertain. And that was all in that post-match interview. And it is the rap that launched 1,000 T-shirts. You can now buy official LFC merchandise with the slogan "Let's talk about six, baby." It was like the definitive caption for our sixth European Cup win.
The fashion trendsetter.
Yeah, who'd have thought it? So that was just one of his fantastic moments in the aftermath of that win. And we touched upon this in the last podcast, which is available from
iTunes.
From iTunes, if you want to go listen
to
it.
Or other podcast services.
Or other podcast services. We touched upon Jurgen Klopp's kind of emotional displays during the victory parade the next day.
He was a bit tired, wasn't he?
He was tired and emotional, as I believe they say.
I love that description. Tired and emotional. Pissed, by the way.
Tired, emotional, and wankered.
Yeah, and sat on a bus.
And very nearly not sat on a bus. He very nearly fell off the bus. He was so drunk, he's German. Of course he'd had a few beers, but he was just nakedly and unashamedly revelling in the fact that he was absolutely hammered.
Well, they kept giving them
love him already.
There was a lot of Carlsberg flowing, because obviously Carlsberg, being one of our main sponsors, have been for donkey's years. And it was, I think, buckets of it in ice were on offer. Amazing. Constantly. To the point where there were people probably getting on the bus just to refuel.
Amazing.
But
Klopp seemed to just... I mean, turns out that you imagine someone like Klopp pissed and you think, oh, I might not be quite as good as it sounds, because he's such a joyous, kind of funny person anyway, that he might not actually be that much fun when he's drunk. Turns out he's everything you'd want.
I think he'd be fun in his sleep.
Yeah, I do.
If he was just lying there doing absolutely nothing, I would still enjoy his company.
Yeah, it turns out Jurgen Klopp hammered is everything I could ever have wanted it to be.
And the interview as well. I don't know if you're going to mention that, the interview with LSE TV, where he was sat at the front of the bus as they were heading into the city, and he was asked about, what's it like and how it feels. And I mean, his answer was so incoherent and so overwhelmed with joy and happiness, and it's so good. You've got to go back and watch it.
He was just sloshed.
But in the best kind of... so happy.
Again, if you can't do it when your side's just won the Champions League, when can you do it?
750,000 people are telling you that you should be sloshed right now.
Yeah, and they were probably sloshed as well.
Yeah, most of them, I imagine.
And that thing he did with his fingers when he was trying to count the up to six.
Iconic now, isn't it?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6. And yeah, it is iconic. It's such a...
I love how he celebrated that so much, even though he's only won one of them.
Doesn't matter. That's all you need.
Of course.
And it's one more than Bill Shankly won.
Yep. And Klopp is now on the the famous banner.
Well, he's done what any Liverpool star that I would say wins anything, but particularly the European Cup. You've entered immortality.
Oh yeah.
And it doesn't matter what you do for the rest of your Liverpool career, because you will always be a hero to the fans of this club. Think of how often we talk about Jimmy Traore and Igor Biscan. Pretty average to awful players, but part of the miracle of Istanbul, and they will always be heroes at Anfield. Once a red, always a red, yes. But if you've brought the European Cup back to L4, even more so. And so Jurgen Klopp, I mean, he's achieved his place in immortality.
I mean, he would have done prior to this anyway.
Oh, he would have done.
Even more so now.
And Jordan Henderson as well. Only 5 Liverpool captains in 127 years have ever lifted that European Cup, and Jordan Henderson's one of them. And all the haters and all the, deriders and pessimists and snarky, sarcastic people who like to mock him at every opportunity can go and shove that up their arses, because Jordan Henderson is a European Cup winning captain, and he's our European Cup winning captain, and fair bloody play to the lad.
Yeah.
But
incredible.
Anyway, that was one of my nominations.
Funny moment. Well, 3 funny moments rolled into one.
Exactly.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up something that happened very early on in the season. In fact, probably it was in pre-season. Robert Milner seemed to have struck up the sort of comedy double act of Liverpool's kind of certainly off pitch.
Off pitch, yeah.
Off pitch, kind of Melwood banter. Milner, of course, being very dry, very droll, very happy with his boring James Milner thing when actually he's the funniest man around. And Robbo calling himself the working class hero. Great moment. The two of them seem to get on really well. Good banter, and their video when they solved Everyday Dilemmas that was on the LFC TV website, I absolutely loved. About how the best way to do you drink your tea, and whether or not it's socks before or after trousers, and they spent ages talking about it,
and how to get your drawstring out of your shorts when it slips in,
when it goes away, you can't get one on the side of it. Right, I could watch them all day just chatting about nothing.
I could. They are hilarious.
A weekly podcast like this would be better than us.
Yeah,
just chatting about whatever.
They are just naturally warm and funny people who some people are funny and they're funny, but you can watch them and you don't necessarily go for it. But you watch Robbo and Mona talk, and you find yourself grinning as a sort of instinctive reflex.
Yeah. I'm grinning now. I'm just thinking about it.
There's a new video just come out. We're recording this in August, and there's a new video just come out where they rank for greatest of all time dunking biscuit.
Don't ruin your next year's nominations.
I won't. But oh my god, it's 11 minutes. It's 11 minutes long, but it's hilarious.
Yeah.
The two of them are they've got that spark together. They're like you won't remember. I don't remember. But Ian St. John and Jimmy Greaves had like a chat show for a long time in the sort of 80s and 90s.
Vaguely aware of it.
Saint and Greavesy. And you can see, when they both retire, you can see something similar for Robbo and Milner.
Robbo and Milner, that's great.
They've got that sort of spark and that banter. They could have they could basically take over Soccer AM or something like that.
They could do like a football version of Top Gear.
Yeah. The only problem is I wouldn't want anyone else involved. I wouldn't want them to have guests on. I just want them to talk to each other.
Well, they could interview guests, I think.
It'd be like a trip.
Yeah, I guess so.
They should do a version of a trip.
They just need stuff to do.
Yeah.
Because obviously you need content. So what would they go and do this week?
They should just wander around Britain doing welly wanging and
visiting biscuit factories.
Yeah, exactly.
And Kendall mint cake.
Exactly. Yeah. And just kind of fishing off the end of Clacton Pier.
And Robbo showing Milner around Glasgow.
Yeah.
And Milner being a bit bemused by the whole experience.
Yeah. And Milner trying to get across the values of a good blanket or something
Here's the Yorkshire Moors.
Yeah.
And Robbo's it's just grass. What are you talking about? It's just hills. We've got loads of them in Scotland.
It's not as good as Scotland, James.
Hey.
Look at these
hills.
hills.
In Glasgow.
They're good hills, James. Don't get me wrong, but they're not as good as Scotland.
No.
Nah.
No, do your James Bond impression. Come on, do your James Bond impression.
Know what you're talking about, Robbo? It's obviously the Yorkshire Moors, isn't it? Look at the way they roll. Just for a swoop of that.
Hey, but come on.
You could.
Come on, lad. Come on, James.
You know what you could do there? You could, and this is quite exciting for me. You could roll down that.
You don't want to roll.
Tuck your arms and legs in. Stand up top of there. Roll down the hill.
No.
Hours of fun. Hours of fun.
No.
Not enough people roll down hills these days. That's a problem.
Come on, James. Let's go back to the observatory.
It used to be a lot of days when you just roll down hills on a Saturday afternoon. That was your good clean fun. Don't do it anymore. So that's a breakdown of society right there. Not enough rolling down hills.
Have we ruined the fact that you would do the James Bond impression now?
I think people probably knew.
Probably personally aware.
I actually got to say that's the best I've ever done it. I think.
You think so? I mean, you are a bit drunk, so maybe.
I'm a bit drunk, but also I've been watching James Milner interviews this morning.
I see.
And we will say, and I do want to give a shout out to the actual social media team at Liverpool because they have done such a good job this year. We talk about the Milner and Robbo videos, but there's been a lot of it. There's been
the besties.
There's been the besties thing where
there's quite a few of those.
I mean, Hendo and Trent, Joe Gomez and Virgil van Dijk,
Ox and Ryan Brewster,
which is a really heartwarming one.
And Mane and Keita, which is good because Keita doesn't speak a lot of English.
Yeah.
And it was nice to kind of get his personality a bit more. And Mane obviously helped because he can communicate.
Well, I think that's why I said before I was quite ambivalent about Naby Keita because you don't get that sense of his personality a lot.
He struggled to learn English more, I think, which is it's
totally
fine.
Forgivable. Yeah. You try and get me to learn Guinean, I'll be awful.
Well, it's French. Well, Guinean dialect. But it's French dialect kind of thing. But Bobby doesn't speak much English. He never does in interviews, but we love him. Do you know what I mean?
But yeah, whoever it is at Liverpool that's in charge of producing this kind of online content,
social media producer stuff,
is had a blinder this year, and I would like to give a shout out to them because it's so important, not only from a fan's point of view of really feeling closer to the team and creating that bond between fans and players, but also getting to see that bond between players and players.
And
getting that really...
Well, it humanises them,
which is
hugely important.
But you get that really tangible sense of a team spirit. You look at people like Lovren and Salah, which is another bromance going on.
Which is the weirdest one, I think. Because they are not remotely similar.
No.
Culturally,
Position-wise.
Muslim versus like horrible Kosovan kind of terrible Croatian Kosovan. Like he's had, you saw his documentary, right?
Yeah.
It was like he's not had a good upbringing, but like him and Salah shouldn't get on.
Yeah,
but they're like best mates.
Well, it's not even like they've got that of being like in the same position on the field, like someone like Virgil and Gomez. Or
or like having the same sort of basic language and connection, like Mane and Keita knew each other from Salzburg years ago. Yeah.
Or like having the kind of bond of both being on the treatment table, like Brewster and Ox. Although I want to say that video is probably my second favourite of the year.
Really?
Because they do come across as so like there's such a bond there.
I mean, they probably know each other better just because they've chatted more.
They've chatted so much, but you think they've really they've supported each other through some of the toughest times of their career, like with those injuries. When
especially Rian.
Yeah.
As a 17-year-old, that must be awful.
But also from Ox's point of view, you look at all that the team have been achieving while he's been out. It must be really hard psychologically to deal with and think they're having all of these experiences and all of this massive success while I'm stuck here like with my leg in plaster or whatever. Like, and it must take a lot, and that friendship is so important. And the bit when they start singing "Allez, allez, allez," and it's hilarious. So, I mean, any of those videos would be a good shout for this. But I think
I put besties in it, like as a general kind of thing.
Yeah.
I have one more funny moment which you should talk about, which is not a moment you probably remember very well, but it was so funny because of how mental it was. Do you remember Lazar Markovic?
I couldn't forget him if I tried.
No, who ended up at Fulham for 6 months because he was friends with Alexander Mitrovic and is now a free agent, funnily enough. Yeah. Scored against Blackburn in pre-season.
With an assist from Daniel Sturridge.
Well, hang on, but that's not weird now because he scored in the Champions League and other games. Lazar Markovic, the most derided player probably ever bought per capita in terms of the 20 million we spent on him.
Yeah.
I know, right? 20 million. Like, what a farcical man. But he scored in pre-season. I just was like, because you told me it, right? I didn't know until you messaged me saying that it happened.
It was against
Blackburn. Yeah.
Yeah.
First goal against Blackburn.
But I mean,
what was the point?
The fact that that was ridiculous enough. The fact that Sturridge assisted him, and it was like a bloody Legends game, but with the opposite of Legends. See what I mean?
Well, Sturridge. Hang on.
Sturridge
is some like mention.
Yeah, no,
Lazar Markovic is a disaster.
But like, it was like some weird kind of sort of charity fixture. Daniel Sturridge is assisting goals for Lazar Markovic for Liverpool Football Club first team in 2018 AD.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on there? And the fact he then stayed at the club for another 6 months. Like, he honestly,
doing what? Cleaning the dishes?
Couldn't get rid of him.
No.
Could not get. And I wish that he'd been more involved in the kind of social media stuff, because I feel like we might actually like him if we got to kind of see him behind the scenes. But
he has no personality.
He's got no bezzy is the problem.
No.
Which is kind of hard.
He does. He's at Fulham.
Yeah.
Fulham didn't want him either. Got rid of him after 6 months. So
but it's it's such a strange,
weird guy. Something's not right.
Something's not right, and I really wanted to tweet after he scored that game against Blackburn. That gif of old lady in Titanic saying, "It's been 84 years."
You don't tweet gifs. You're not a gif tweeter.
No, I'm not.
I like a good gif. I'm not like on social. I like WhatsApp. I like a good gif on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Reacting to other people's stuff. Yeah, but not on the internet. I'm just like, I don't look like a tween. You know.
I think the gif market is oversaturated.
It is.
It annoys me when you you follow someone on Twitter and all they ever post is gifs.
Yeah.
And they can't say an update about their life or whatever they're doing without accompanying gif. And it's like, you could just say that. You don't need a basically quite tenuously related gif.
No, absolutely not.
But
yeah, I wanted to mention that. Yeah, I didn't know where else to put it, but I had to talk about it.
And it's nice he gets a mention, isn't it, old Lazar?
It's not nice, he just gets a mention.
Well, it's the last time he's going to be mentioned in this podcast as a Liverpool player, probably.
Or ever, in fact.
He'll come back. He'll come up again.
So, what do I want to give it to?
So we've got Lazar Markovic scoring, Robbo and Milner solving everyday dilemmas, Jurgen Klopp swearing, or Jurgen Klopp...
Drunk on a bus.
I mean, I was in two minds, but you literally just phrased it perfectly. Jurgen Klopp drunk on a bus. How could that ever be disagreed with?
Well, it's such a perfect way to celebrate such an extraordinary thing.
And it's such a Klopp way to celebrate it. There's
no
pretense of dignity or like...
And it's probably the only mention we'll give of that parade as well, which is a massive thing. Such a good thing. So I'm happy to give it to him drunk on a bus / singing about Six Baby.
Well, I think it's entirely...
hang on, how about this? Klopp's 24 hours after the Champions League final.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
There you go. Funniest moment of the year. The Owen Club Award goes to Klopp's 24 hours
It's entirely
after the
fitting
Champions
that
League final.
Klopp gets his own award for the first time.
But yeah, 24 hours of his life. Cheers.
Yes.
Yeah, I have no idea how much we loved it.
Here's to you, Kloppo.
And with that, let's take our first break. And Owen, you're in charge.
Matt, are you peckish?
I mean, it's sort of dinner time now when we're recording this, so yeah, probably.
I think you should explain the concept of the forfeits to the audience while I go and get a knife.
That's so sinister. That was so sinister. So, throughout the year, myself and Owen do a load of predictions, which we kind of make. He's literally leaving, by the way. He's literally going. No, you go. You can start. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so myself and Owen make a bunch of predictions throughout the year. It's a kind of like fantasy league kind of thing where we just see who does better. Firstly, I'd just like to make it clear that I won 52-40, so I definitely did better. However, we pick games throughout the year that are key fixtures in terms of, historical fixtures. So, for example, if we haven't played a manager before, or if it's a stadium we haven't won in before, or if it was a result the previous season that didn't go our way that we sort of wanted to get a kind of revenge on, I guess you could say. If any of those categories fit and we kind of work out a schedule throughout the season where they're sort of evenly split, they'll go in. So Owen's just returned with a bread knife, another knife, and a plate. Do you want me to leave while you make this, or are you happy for me just to sit here and watch you?
I don't know, because it requires some explaining, so I can either explain as we go along, or I can make it and then talk you through it step by step.
Well, I tell you what, I'm going to quickly go through exactly why I have to do this and why we're doing this.
You do that while I prepare the bread.
Yeah, he's going to dig out some stuff from his bag. I mean, it's a little bit like a cross between an eccentric on the bus and a mass murderer.
I should point out as well that regular listeners to this will know that every time a sort of ingestion forfeit comes up, because I hesitate to use the phrase eat or drink, it always seems to be Matt that has to prepare something for me, and I get the raw end of the deal a lot. In the past, I've had to eat locusts. I've had to drink...
Hey, I ate a locust too.
I know, but I had to... You didn't have to.
No, I did it because you were complaining like a wuss.
I've had to drink absinthe. I've had to drink
lots of hot sauce in the past.
My own body weight in hot sauce.
I ate the crackers. Which was the funniest.
That was fantastic. I still watch that every time. Cheer me up.
I hated doing it, but it was very funny.
Pilchards. I've had to eat pilchards.
Yep.
I've had to eat some...
I drank the sangria,
you did drink
which
sangria.
was so sweet. It was absolutely vile.
Nearly killed you. We should point out Matt's diabetic as well. So.
I needed better wine. Better wine would have fixed that.
But that shot challenge 2 years ago where I had to eat the locusts and the pilchards.
Yeah.
Shot glass full of pilchards. It still haunts me, so I've decided I'm going to get my revenge on Matt this time. So, Matt, I'm going to give you this bucket.
Yes, we've brought the Plastic Scousers official bucket with us again. It's got a grape in it. I'll put it in my old glass. Yeah, I hid that in there. I'll put that right here. So, here is the first challenge. Because our first prediction was Tottenham away because it was at Wembley, which is a very rare occurrence for Liverpool to play at Wembley in a domestic league competition. Only the second time ever. Did we play there the year before?
We played there the year before.
Yeah, I think we lost. Yeah, we got smashed because Dale Lovren came off after half an hour.
How big a bit of bread do you want?
I think the plate size. So if you sort of go to there, plate size. Okay. So like half the baguette, basically. I think that's fair, right?
Yeah.
Half the baguette.
Do you want the end or?
You can nobble the end off if you want. Yeah, just the nice bread. I like how you're letting me choose. It's almost like I know how much you're going to suffer, so at the very least I'll let you choose.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, after that we decided the first fixture should definitely be Spurs away at Wembley because we were originally imagining it was going to be the first game at their new stadium, but that was delayed by about 6 months. But yeah, basically I thought we'd draw, you thought we win, and we won. Gino Wijnaldum's header, of course. He's already singing. We're only at forfeit 1 and he's already singing. So yeah, great header by the way, that header. And then Firmino scored that tap in from a yard. And so with that, it means I have to do the first forfeit, which, as you've probably heard from the fact he's cutting bread, we've called the sandwich challenge. Essentially what I've told Owen is that I will eat any sandwich he puts in front of me with provided it fits 2 rules. 1, it's all the food is edible, so if you put bleach in it, then you can sod off. And 2, it's not got a lot of sugar in it, obviously because I'm diabetic. which wouldn't have applied for you necessarily, only because you don't have that same problem.
No, I would have still liked the edible rule to be applied to me, though.
That would still would have been applied, yeah. But obviously, like, we here at the Plastic Scousers like to have fun and wind each other up, but we also don't want to kill each other. That would feel a little bit harsh.
Yeah, a little bit.
We've come close, mainly arguing over seems to be the very fundamental principles of football itself. But no, this time we're trying to look after each other, but at the same time, I still have to suffer. So what, Owen, can you please start describing what you're doing now?
You have to eat the whole sandwich, right?
I mean, ideally, yes, unless it's literally unbearable.
I mean, it probably will be, but that's the point, surely.
Well, please describe what you're
I'm not
doing.
just going to make you a BLT, am I? Okay, well, do you want me to take you through it step by step and you be in the room for it?
Yes, please. That'd be great.
Okay, Matt, you're very close to my heart, as you know, and I didn't want to give you a horrible sandwich. I wanted to give you a celebratory sandwich.
Fantastic.
Because, Matt, we're champions of Europe.
I know.
It's amazing, isn't it? And we went on one of the most glorious Champions League runs, culminating in success with some of the most incredible games we've played along the way. From the last-minute winner against Paris Saint-Germain, I would say the vengeful disposal of Red Star Belgrade about 40 years after they put Bill Shankly's side to the sword.
The save against Napoli.
The save against Napoli, the exhilaration against Porto, that amazing second leg against Bayern Munich, the superlative performance against Barcelona, and of course the final against Tottenham. Now, to celebrate that fact, I thought I would make you a Champions League sandwich.
Fantastic.
Featuring an ingredient from every country that gave us a side that we beat along the way.
Fantastic.
So, as you will see, we're starting off with a base ingredient of some French bread for Paris Saint-Germain.
Perfect.
Yeah. So you see where I'm
Good
going
idea.
with this.
I like it already. It's a good idea.
You like it now. And who did we play after Paris Saint-Germain?
Red Star.
Napoli.
Was it Napoli next?
Napoli.
So Italian. So Italian So if I was thinking about this, Italian ham.
Well, Italian salami, yeah.
That's okay. That's all right.
Reduced fat because it was cheaper.
Also better for you, of course.
So I'll just bang a few slices of Italian salami onto
I like Italian ham though.
Good.
I like a Parma or a salami. No, a Serrano.
You don't mind my fingers, do you?
I don't. No, it's fine. Just
So
don't like spit on it and rub it on your balls.
I wouldn't do that.
Right.
I won't need to.
No,
So I'm just gonna.
By the time we get to the
do
end
a
of
nice
this,
base ingredient of Italian salami.
nice. That looks nice so far.
It does, doesn't it? It looks nice. I kind of wish we were videoing this because it's.
I know we're filming it, but I'm not going to edit it.
You eat with your eyes, but
You do. But we're describing. Basically, what we've got in front of me now is 2 slices of baguette covered in butter with some salami on it.
Now,
Fine.
Serbia next to Red Star Belgrade.
So I don't know anything about Serbian food. I guess you don't really either.
I don't know anything about Serbian
So
cuisine.
you've replaced it with something stupid, right?
Well, no, I've kind of tried to stay true to the idea of this sandwich.
Okay.
So I thought Red Star Belgrade.
Red stars.
Do I get some Baby Belgrade? Is that a bit tenuous? And I thought I'll get some Red Stars. So I've got some.
I'm really nervous.
I've got some
little star thingies.
Tesco multicoloured stars.
That's quite good.
Sort of
Just pick out the red ones. Come
like
on.
cake decoration. I'll just,
Go on. Can you pick out the red ones?
I will. They're more of a sort of dark cerise.
But that's okay.
So I
Red
just gonna-
red stars.
Red stars.
So basically, he's now got a handful of these like colourful like sugar stars that you put on cakes, right? And he's like sprinkling them over
bollocks
essentially
to it.
the salami. Oh, he's given up. He's just throwing a lot in there.
Only because it would have taken a long time to.
It would have taken quite a while.
Can you eat these? Are these okay?
No, not really.
Okay, is that enough?
Yeah, just a few. Just scatter them.
A few more.
Yeah, just I don't want to like.
Not the whole jar, obviously.
No,
but
they're
I'm just
quite
gonna-
sugared, but it's fine. Just no. Okay, seriously, stop.
Okay, cool.
Please don't kill me.
No, I'm not trying to kill you. And
Yeah.
so that's France, Italy, and Serbia, which was our
Well, Red Star, yeah.
yeah Red Star.
So
you know.
nearly that was the group.
That's a group stage. Who
Right.
did we play next?
Bayern Munich.
Bayern Munich. Well,
German sausage.
well, that seemed too easy. My
Oh.
my
I
first
quite
thought was
like a
some.
bratwurst.
My first thought was some Haribo.
Why?
Well, because they're German, Haribo.
Are they?
But then I realised you're diabetic, so I probably shouldn't put Haribo on there. I wish I'd bought now the sauerkraut, but never mind.
You got something else instead.
I've got some Kinder chocolate, because that's also German.
Oh, that's fine.
You're
I mean,
allowed-
admittedly, I can't really eat that either, but put a little bit in. That's
You're
fine.
allowed like one of these, right? I got the small bars, like just one small
Yeah,
bar.
spread it. Break it
desiccated over.
Yeah.
So I just break
I'm
these
currently
open.
dialing up my insulin unit to this point.
Yeah, maybe put a bit more in.
Yeah, I think I will.
So I'm just gonna mush up a bar of Kinder chocolate, kind of iconic German chocolate, and just kind of smush one of those on top of the.
Do you know what though? I
stars.
know this sounds gross because essentially we've got bread, salami, sugar stars, and chocolate. But
Yeah.
I'm not worried yet.
No, good. I'm glad you said yet. I'm very
I
glad you
fully
said
well
yet.
aware I should probably be at some point, but we've got 3 countries left, so it can't be that bad.
It can't be. Can't be that bad.
No.
Something looking at this, it's quite chorizo heavy still.
Yeah.
Where did we go after Bayern Munich, Matt?
Portugal.
Portugal.
Famous for their seafood,
Seafood. What else? Anything else?
Nando's.
Nando's.
chicken.
Chicken.
I can't think of anything else.
Portuguese custard tarts.
Okay.
Okay, well,
You kept buying me sugared food. I told you that's diabetic.
I specifically said like dairy-based, like creamy condiments, and you said they were broadly fine.
Yeah.
I didn't have custard tarts in Tesco, but we did have custard.
Oh, we've got custard. Oh, okay, now I'm a bit worried.
Now it is low sugar custard.
Oh, that's good.
So that's all right. Yeah.
But not loads still. It's still
Not
got a bit of
loads,
sugar in
no,
it.
just a sort of a semi-liberal.
It's almost like the mayonnaise.
just a kind of.
This is like mayonnaise,
just
isn't
a
it?
little squiggle, like a New York hot dog.
Yeah, mayonnaise.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Other than the salami, that's quite appetising.
Basically, that's like a sweet dessert.
Because it's all like custard, chocolate, sugar stars.
Yeah.
Like, it's quite. Also, I do just love cold custard.
I mean, you're literally drinking it now.
Out of the carton, into my
That's
mouth.
all right.
So we put Porto aside, and who was next?
Well, Barcelona.
Barcelona. I wanted to kind of adhere to the Catalonian independence referendum, but it's a lot easier if I just say they're Spanish.
Well, I mean, they are politically Spanish. No, they're technically Spanish. They're
Technically
politically
Spanish.
not, but they're technically Spanish.
They play in La Liga, so I thought, let's put a Spanish chorizo.
We've only got one country left, so I'm fascinated by what he's going to do.
Well,
If it's jelly deals, I'm going to kill myself.
oh dear.
Dude, they're quite hard to buy. I don't quite know.
They are.
Yeah. Like, unless you go literally down to Upton Park or something.
So I'll just bang a couple of slices of chorizo on. You can eat chorizo, okay, can't you?
Of course I can, yeah.
Cool,
That's
so
a savoury
I'll
food.
put quite a lot of that on then. To
Yeah,
sort of-
please.
So at the moment, there's a sandwich in a sandwich where chocolate, custard, and sugar stars are kind of tucked between 2 slices of continental meats.
Yeah. Which, I mean,
So I just kind of squish all
I'm
that
still
in.
not that worried.
And then, obviously, amazing night against Barcelona. God, I do like chorizo.
He's just chowing down.
There you go.
Yeah, amazing.
Which brings us
Astonishing
to
night against
Tottenham.
Barcelona.
It brings us to your home
Spurs.
city,
Yeah, London. London boy.
And as you say, London is famous, really,
For jelly
for the
deals.
jelly deals. And they don't really sell jelly deals in Tesco,
No, they don't.
but they do sell that other great fishy London snack,
If it's pilchards, I'm going to die.
pickled cockles.
Oh my god. Oh, now I'm in trouble.
A classic of the working class London pub for many a year.
Oh god.
Oh, Matt, put your nose around that. Just have a little sniff.
Oh,
Oh,
god.
there's just lots of cockles.
Oh god, please.
So,
Oh god.
but we don't have sugar in, so I'm going to put a few on.
Oh, you prick.
So
Oh
I just
no.
drape a few of those.
This was fine until that.
I know. Well, we'll have to be a stinger.
Look at them.
Do you want me to put them under the chorizo? Would that make it easier?
No, just
Okay.
get on with it.
So I'll just
That
put a few
look,
on.
I mean, they look horrible.
They do, and I've had these before.
They look like little turds.
They taste horrible. They're like bogies.
Oh god.
In some ways, they don't taste as bad as they look. In other ways,
They do.
In other ways, they're everything you could imagine. I'm a bit bottom heavy with these cockles, so I'll put a few more up there.
God.
You see now why I gave you the bucket?
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried. But all right, we're gonna face up. That is the last ingredient, yes?
That is it. That is our
Is that the
Champions,
Champions League, yeah?
Champions League run to success in a sandwich. So just to recap, listeners, Matt is going to eat a French bread baguette containing Italian salami, sugar red stars for Red Star by grade, German chocolate, Portuguese custard,
What's Italian in there?
Italian salami,
Oh, yes, of course.
some Spanish chorizo
On French bread, of course.
on French bread, and some good London cockles.
So that is like that is the shit amongst the pigeons. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, well, that's what they used to call me at school. And so I'll just pop the top on. I'll pop the lid on there for you.
And so the game is I've got to eat as much as possible before I literally give up.
Yeah, you've basically got to try and chow
That's a
down the
lot
whole
of
thing.
food as well,
There's a lot of food, but we've not really eaten for most of the afternoon.
apart from all the snacks and
Apart from the
stuff.
snacks, but I mean, it's mainly custard. I'm licking my fingers, and it's just a slight vinegary custard. So, Matt, how are you feeling?
I'm not sure yet. I'm not like. I've seen this done before with like not to the exact same extent, but like with people eating weird weird stuff
Yeah.
in sandwiches. And I'm sort of looking at it going, it can't be as bad as I'm imagining.
No.
At the same time, it could. So
I think, being honest, it's only really the cockles that ruin it.
I mean, if it was salami and sugary stuff,
For
it would be not great, but you'll probably deal with
You
it.
could eat it. The salami and custard is that sort of like shit mix where actually it's quite surprisingly tasty.
Yeah. I've got some water.
Good.
Just because I think I need to clear my mouth palate.
That's a good idea. Oh. It's capsized.
It's actually fallen over.
It's capsized.
It can't deal with its own
With the
strength.
weight of its own foulness. I reckon just dig in.
Okay, ready?
Yeah, I don't think it will be as bad as you expect. He's had one chomp.
Custard is the initial thought.
Custard's the initial thought. I think it's because it's quite a lot of cushioning of bread, you won't get the awful taste for quite a while. I think everything's quite insulated.
The saltiness is the point about. Oh.
The saltiness through. See, that's either the chorizo or the cockles, I think. Quite a salty meat, chorizo. Quite greasy. Oh, what was that?
Oh.
Something just hit him.
Cockle.
Cockle number 1. Where's the bucket?
Oh man, that is that's like a cacophony of crap. Okay. Oh, the cockles are the worst. I'm not being funny. Oh, that is bad.
They're quite phlegmy, aren't they?
It's the texture.
It's like when you do one of those big coughs and then you have to swallow it because you don't have a
biting
tissue.
on a stone, but full of salt and gross.
Oh, I'm just going to make myself a little baguette. Just going to have a little chorizo baguette. Oh, another cockle.
Bad. Oh, it's bad. Okay.
Oh. Was it better or worse than you were expecting?
I don't know what I was expecting, to be honest with you.
See, every time you take a bite, just think, this is our Champions League run. This is a joyful occasion. This is something to be proud of.
I'm just trying to... What I'm essentially trying to do is get to a point where I can just swallow it as quickly as possible.
Yeah, that's what you want to do. You don't want
Luckily,
to
I have beer with me.
Don't
so
think about what you're eating. You'd be mad to think about it.
Oh. Like, I can't taste the chocolate at all. The meat is very pungent. And the custard.
Can you taste
you know what? It's not... The meat and the custard is actually okay. Like, it's not... don't get me wrong. Don't ever bloody do it, listeners. But I could deal with that. It's just the occasional punch of a cockle.
No one wants a punch of a cockle.
Oh, God, it's grim. Okay, another one.
How are you?
I already feel a bit sick.
Are you finding the sugar stars? Are they a bit
Not
hidden?
really, no.
But we know they're in there. We know they're in there.
What's that Red Star? They're not really relevant.
Just there to make up the numbers.
Yeah, or beat us 2-0.
Sorry for that. I was talking with my mouth full because I'm currently enjoying a really nice just chorizo baguette.
Oh.
It was plain chorizo. It's lovely. Oh, that didn't sound good. You're about 3 mouthfuls in. You've got a good 6 inches to go there, man.
Bob.
It's just meat and custard. Come on, you can do this. Should we continue with the podcast while you eat this? I feel this could be a long while.
Bob.
I gave Matt about 8 inches of baguette.
That's a lot.
He's about half an inch into it. So.
I said a sandwich. Like 2 slices of bread. That's what I was expecting. This is like a demolition job.
Oh, he's really struggling. Oh no, the bowl's up.
I almost threw up then.
Oh, he's got the bucket.
That is bad. That's really bad.
He's got the bucket. What is it that's so bad about it? Is it the cockles?
Yeah. It's like... I mean, it's not great. It's quite sickly. Like,
that's over custard.
Sugar.
That's over custard.
Oh, but... Yeah, I think we're going to have to keep carrying on. So this is going to take me a while. Okay. I'll try my best. I can't guarantee anything.
Just keep going.
I'm quite stressed.
It's okay. You've got until we finish this podcast. It's not like I'm going to force you to eat in... It's not like cream cracker challenge where you're on the clock.
Can you please introduce the next category?
Yeah.
Once you finish your mouthful.
Well, on the subject of how much Matt just isn't enjoying this forfeit, it's time to move on to a rather fitting next category. It's the award for the worst moment of the season.
When I had to eat a terrible sandwich.
And I think Matt might choose the terrible sandwich as his. So the worst moment of the season is a bit of an odd award because it actually commemorates the lowest point, the nadir of our season. A season in which there were so many
zeniths. I want to get out of the way early.
You what?
I wanted to get out of the way early.
Yeah, totally. No. Same with the sandwich, I imagine. Are you not feeling any better about it? Shaking his head.
No. Yeah, please carry on.
I will carry on. So, Matt, what are your nominations for this award?
Company scoring at City is my first nomination.
Company scoring at City for City.
Leicester City.
At Leicester City.
No, for
City against Leicester.
Yeah, at the Etihad. And how that one moment basically ended our title hopes.
Yeah. It's a very valid shout. As I explained on a previous podcast, I had dreams that Leicester would be the third team managed by an ex-Liverpool manager this season to beat Manchester City after Roy Hodgson's Crystal Palace and Rafa Benitez's Newcastle, and that the three of them, the forgotten men, the ghosts of the Anfield dugout, would come back and help their sort of Padawan Klopp finally lift the Premier League trophy for Liverpool. It was not to be, and I mean, I think because I was so fixated on this idea, because it seemed so perfectly romantic and such a nice way to win the league, it was really doubly depressing when Company scored for City that night. So that's one nomination, is for the Company's goal, which basically
broke our hearts.
It was
so good as well. Oh, it was horrible. I hate it. Why does a centre-back shoot from 35 yards and lose us the league? It's not fair.
And it was quite late in the second half, wasn't it?
Yeah, they were really struggling.
Yeah, Leicester had done so well to give them to 0-0. Even a draw would have been good for us.
They almost got it because Iheanacho, who used to play for them, somehow missed at the end of the game.
And that would have been 2 points dropped, which meant we'd have gone into the final day of the season 1 point ahead. I find it very difficult to really analyse these moments because it does still hurt. It's like this time last year when we talked about the Champions League final and Loris Karius, and I did find it genuinely painful.
Worst moment. Well, that's why it's nominated.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to throw in, on a similar Man City perspective, a 2-1 defeat to them, because that really was, what decided the title. We didn't know it at the time, but the 3 points that Man City, that was a 6-pointer, and the 3 points Man City gained that day and 3 points we lost, changed the direction of the title. And it was by millimetres. There were posts hit, there were goal line clearances, there were chances that should have been taken better and chances that shouldn't have been taken so well.
I mean, the margins, as we've just said, were so slim.
It's so slim, and it's heartbreaking to think that we missed out on the title after the best season of our lives. Both me and Matt were born since Liverpool last won the title.
Yeah.
The best season that Liverpool have played in our lifetimes. Lost one game all season, 97 points, and still not champions. That's how slim the margins are, and that was heartbreaking.
Would you say that was the worst individual moment, though? Because we didn't necessarily think we were going to lose the title at that point.
No, I suppose.
It was our first loss of the season, but we were still 4 points ahead in the league.
I guess. I suppose.
Do you know what I mean?
I suppose it just damaged our perception of invincibility.
Yeah.
That we'd been cultivating.
But I was never expecting to keep it for the whole season, and yet we almost did.
Well, we almost did. I mean, who's to say that if we'd not lost that day, we might not have come unstuck later on? But I think if we'd not lost, I think if we'd won that day, we could have gone the whole season unbeaten. I think the boost it would have given us would have.
Well, we would have done.
Yeah, I think.
Actually, we would have done.
Well, I don't know. I mean, we might still have that psychological pressure of it, not wanting to lose for the first time when we came up against Man United in March or something like that.
Yeah.
So I do think it's not. That's the only game we lost. I think if we'd won that, we might still have gone on to lose another one. But I don't know. But I also do think we were capable of going unbeaten because we deserved a point out of that City game. And so, from the perspective that it ruined our unbeaten season, that's one of my worst moments. Also, the fact that, let's be honest, we could have been in the position quite easily where we'd not lost all season but hadn't won the title. We could have become the second team to go for a Premier League season unbeaten, but still not won.
Well, we wouldn't have done it if we'd have drawn that game.
No, but...
So, that actually feasibly would not have happened last year.
But what I mean is, not on the basis of that one game, but we could have drawn that game, and City could have won a game they'd lost, say. Yeah. And the result would have been the same. Are you alright?
My thing is, I know if I take a bite of this, I'm basically incapacitated for 2 minutes. I can't say anything. So I'm waiting for a good opportunity to take another bite.
Give us another nomination and talk about it, and then take a chomp.
Okay, so I went away at Man United. Only because, well, there's 2 reasons for that. One, we had a lot of injury things that happened. You know, Firmino had problems and had to come off, and that was kind of his end of season crocked a little bit, only because he was never really quite the same afterwards. Yeah. But the fact of the matter was, we went to Old Trafford against a manager who isn't good enough to be there. No, they had 3 injuries in the first half, plus Rashford was basically half a player. To play as badly as we did, despite that, was so poor. It was an awful performance, an awful result. All we had to do was win that game, and we should have done.
We should have done.
And it was such a bad performance. I felt so awful afterwards.
And we can look back and say it cost us the title.
And people are going, oh, it might be a good point for the title. It's like, well, we said that 4 times in a row. But this time, we had to win that game.
We did. We had to, and we didn't. Well, I'm going to throw in another disappointing result. And that's a Red Star away game.
I had that.
I don't know why this one upset me so much. I think it's because
it was a terrible performance against a weak team.
Terrible performance, and we proved earlier in the season that we were a far superior team to them. So why we were quite so bloody awful in this game, I don't know, but we really were, weren't we?
We are there was a lack of creativity, and Sturridge missed early on. That was just awful. And then they had a wonder strike. Was it the second goal was a wonder strike?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Particularly spicy atmosphere, as promised by
it always is, isn't it?
Red Star Stadium. And so the fact that we didn't take Xherdan Shaqiri.
Yeah, I'd forgotten that.
Obviously, he was a Kosovan-born Swiss international. And after Serbia's treatment of the Kosovans during the Balkan War in the 90s, it's sort of not really advised that Kosovan players travel to Serbia.
Yeah.
And there was a very sort of sparky flashpoint during the 2018 World Cup, where Switzerland, featuring Granit Xhaka and Xherdan Shaqiri, scored a last-minute winner against Serbia, and they responded by making the kind of Kosovan-Albanian symbol of the two-headed eagle,
of course,
with their sort of hands out and their thumbs like with two-headed eagle, and it nearly provoked a riot among the Serbian fans. And I think the Swiss FA were fined for it, but so it was kind of they were warned early on, like Shaqiri is going to get a really hostile reception, and so we ended up staying behind, and it was a
bit like how we mentioned in the last podcast about Mkhitaryan as well.
Yeah, very similar, and it's not okay, and it intimidating atmospheres are all well and good, and Fortress Anfield and even places like Galatasaray used to be, and it's really kind of like intimidating European away matches. But when it comes to like actually unsafe for certain players to go there, it's beyond the pale.
100%. It's
not alright, and so that was a real shame, and that was a
awful result, poor performance, and it put our group, our qualification, massively in doubt.
Oh, totally. It really threw off our campaign because we'd already lost to Napoli, so we'd now lost to 1-2,
and had to go to PSG,
and we had to go to PSG and have to play Napoli again. Red Star Belgrade, I don't think it's arrogant to say we were banking on 6 points there. That was like a guaranteed 6-pointer.
Yeah, 100%.
So to come away with nothing from the away game was a massive failure, really.
Hugely, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a shame. I've only got one more, which is Man City going 2-1 up against Brighton at the end of the season. After all the hope that we'd had for about 5 minutes, when Brighton scored and we were ahead, that maybe we could win the title, but then to turn around and be so terrible. Because obviously they scored soon after, and then they scored again, and it was like deflating and heartbreaking. And it was actually quite impressive that Liverpool managed to pick themselves up from that and win the Champions League.
Well, on a similar note, I've also got the 3-0 defeat to Barcelona in the first leg of the semi-final.
Yes, yeah.
Only because, with our star players injured, losing 3-0 when we were being the better side against one of the world's greatest sides in Barcelona, seeing our kind of league campaign peter out, and a sense that it was all coming to an inglorious end. It was a very depressing result, but this is quite a hard category to pick a winner from, I think.
Yeah, I mean, there was no one moment that was devastating, but there's a couple of like low dips of like because we had a phenomenal season.
Oh, we did.
Even though we went out in the 2 domestic cups in the first round,
Which we've not even mentioned, to be honest.
no, which both could be, but both aren't that devastating considering the situations and circumstances behind them.
Grand scheme of things.
Oh, I don't know.
Although this feels an appropriate point to say that going out in the FA Cup third round to Wolves this season, not only our third consecutive FA Cup exit to a team beginning with W. No, sorry, our fourth. Lost to West Ham in 2016, Wolves in 2017, West Brom in 2018, and Wolves again in 2019. It meant that the whatever this decade is, the teenies.
Yeah, the teeny weenies.
The teeny weenies was the first decade we haven't won the FA Cup since we first won the FA Cup in 1965.
Yeah.
Which is quite remarkable, and seems a bit of a shame.
But we haven't taken it seriously enough, to be fair.
Well, we've not for a long time. I mean, we got in this decade. We've got to the final and the semi-final. You know, and we were only a sort of a linesman's decision away from equalising against Chelsea in 2012. I mean, we were awful against Aston Villa in the semi-final in 2015. But you look back and think, we should have done better, and we should have.
We should have done, yeah.
But that's not really the worst moment of this season because we're used to it by now. So what are we going to give it to?
Well, top of my list was the company wonder goal.
Yeah.
Which isn't even like a Liverpool moment.
No.
But it was that kind of moment where you thought, oh, City have got the title again.
I think it's that or when they went 2-1 up against Brighton. Because I think even after that Leicester result, there was still that kind of that frisson of hope and excitement in the crowd on that final day of the season.
Yeah.
So I almost think them going 2-1 up on the last day of the season, that is what killed it forever.
Watching them, that midweek game, after we'd done what we did against Barcelona, it was the day after, I think.
Day before.
Is it?
Yeah,
it was the day before. And which is even more remarkable when we consider, what happened the day after, when you could have think, well, we would probably be devastated about the whole thing.
Yeah.
Watching them celebrate and watching that goal go in, almost like some sort of destiny for them. Oh, it was awful.
Yeah,
it really hurt because I was convinced that Leicester might be the team to at least stop them a bit.
I was sure of it.
And it was one ridiculous wonder goal from their bloody captain, who's a centre-back who never does that and has never done it in his life.
And now he's left them.
Gross. I hate it more and more every time I talk about it.
It does make you think the stars were aligned for them, though. It was a kind of perfect thing for them.
Bollocks. Wasn't aligned for them.
So what
for us.
So what are we giving it to?
Company.
Yeah, and I think Brighton.
I think Company.
Toss for it?
Go on, flip for it.
I'll flip a packet of Haribo. I'll flip this bottle cap. What's this? Innocent gun?
Yeah. I'll go bottom up.
Bottom up. Like
so
that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Give it a good flick. What's it landed on?
It's landed bottom up. But
Yay!
it fell in the crevice, so I think we should do that again.
Alright, here we go. He's going to rig it so he wins.
Okay, we'll tell you what, we'll do best out of 3, so that even if I win this time.
Right, fine.
See, that was top up that time.
Oh, for God's sake.
So this is a decider. It's bottom up, so it's Vincent Kompany gets the somehow.
Someone else wins our worst moment of the season, but you bastard.
You twat.
Okay.
How are you getting on with sandwich?
I don't feel well.
Mate, you've got to have a bit more. You've got to get halfway through.
I am halfway through.
You're not.
I am.
No, because that would mean it was this long.
I'm not being funny. I will throw up.
It was as wide as the plate, so you're kind of now you're a third of the way through.
We're going from the worst moments to the best moments of the season. Best moments. So, not necessarily like the absolute kind of best game or the best kind of like long period. It's like a moment in the season that we absolutely loved, regardless of whether we won something from it or it was just something we loved and adored. Like when Robbo chased down that ball for 70 yards.
Yeah.
70. It wasn't. It didn't matter, but it was so wonderful. It was our best moment. So I've got a few of these.
Go on, shoot.
Owen, I will give you first. I mean, the most obvious one is winning the Champions League. I think that's the most obvious one to kind of start on.
Yeah.
But I almost think we've covered that a lot, and we'll talk about that, far more later on.
Yeah.
So, shall I move on from that?
Yeah, I don't think you need to explain that one. I think that's speaks for itself. So yeah.
So in which case, I'll give you the other one, which is Origi's header against Everton.
I've got that as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk us through it.
I mean, 97th minute, whatever it is, a decent Everton side causes a lot of problems. Could easily have been winning the game at this point. We basically think this is a 0-0 draw at home against the arch rivals, even though they're not really the local rivals. And then all of a sudden, from out of absolutely nowhere, Van Dijk hits a terrible volley, which he walks away from thinking, "Oh, I've screwed this up." It cannons off the bar. The goalkeeper keeps it in. It bounces.
Well, he sort of pushes it back onto the bar, doesn't he, for some reason?
I think he actually keeps the ball in because he's trying to catch it. If he lets it go, it's out for a goal kick.
Yeah.
But instead he tries to grab it, touches it onto his own bar twice, and Divock Origi scores. And that is a guy who... How Divock Origi? Like,
first appearance of the season as well for Divock Origi.
Right? And you talk about a forgotten man. I never thought he played for Liverpool again.
Yeah. He was like the Pedro Chirivella of our first team.
And he walks onto the pitch, and in the 97th minute of the Merseyside derby, heads in a winning goal that no one could explain. Because with the ridiculous circumstances by which it happened, for him to nod it into the back of the net, he then picks the ball up thinking that we've got to score again.
Yeah.
Because he didn't quite understand what's going on.
Well, I think he just wanted to, not time waste, but...
Well, he picked the ball up because he looked like he thought it was 1-1. And then Jurgen Klopp and Alisson runs onto the pitch, he gives a massive hug on the halfway line. Oh, it's so, moment of the season. Moment of the season.
Well, see, one of my nominations was Klopp running onto that pitch and that hug with Alisson.
Same moment.
Because you look at it, and then, you watch that game happen, and you see Klopp run on and jump onto Alisson's arms, and then you suddenly realise, hang on, the full-time whistle hasn't gone. You sort of think that's a kind of full-time reaction, and then you suddenly realise, hang on, we're still in play. The game's still going on, and Klopp is there, in the middle of the pitch. What the hell is going on? It's, extraordinary.
Oh, man, I'll never forget it.
No.
One of the maddest end to a Merseyside derby I can remember.
Yeah, absolutely. It eclipses that free kick from Gary McAllister in 2001.
Oh, yeah.
As a kind of best finish to a derby. There's very few things that can compete with that. I've got Divock Origi's second goal against Barcelona.
Yep.
And what that meant. And again, we've touched on this in the other podcast quite a lot, so I won't, to a certain degree speaks for itself. But just the sheer confusion and the randomness of it. With the corner, the ball boy.
You okay? You're hiccuping there.
I am a bit, yeah.
Yeah. Take a minute.
I'm
breathe.
surprised you're not, to be honest.
I mainly just feel sick, and I'm trying desperately not to avoid it.
Cool.
I'm eating little other things just to try and get the taste out of my mouth.
Yeah. We should have a grape in there if you want.
I did.
No, as in the sandwich.
Oh, right. No.
Nah, it might ruin the grape. Yeah, I mean, that was a fantastic moment. And again, Divock Origi against Spurs. Something else we've touched on in the other podcast, which is available now on iTunes. But that was the moment that you knew we'd won the Champions League. Up until then, a 1-0 lead with sort of 5 minutes to go. It was going to be a very nervy finish.
Yeah.
But when that second goal went in, we'd won the Champions League, and they started engraving our name on the trophy. And all of the fans and the players and everything went mental, and that was a moment we'd done it. And I mean, how often do you get a goal like that where you suddenly know you've won the biggest club competition in Europe?
I mean, you don't.
You don't.
We've never really experienced that.
No. I mean...
Because 2005 final was a save from a penalty.
Yeah. So, I think that goal was it was literally like light in the fireworks, It was that moment when the clock strikes midnight on New Year's Eve. It was this tremendous outpouring of everything that's been held in for so long. Every final defeat we've suffered under Klopp, those goals from Seville in 2016, the penalty shootout against Man City in 2016, Karius's mistakes last year, the Bale overhead kick, all of that hurt and anguish and repressed disappointment sandwiched in there for years and years, going right back to the disallowed Andy Carroll goal at Wembley in 2012, the slip against Chelsea from Steven Gerrard in 2014, the not being able to do it against AC Milan in 2007, and even our more recent Champions League history, the disappointments under Brendan Rodgers against Razgrad and Basel, going out to Besiktas on penalties, all of that was squashed in and repressed and hammered at time and time again. And when that goal went in from Origi, it all just burst out and lifted off your shoulders like a bloody hot air balloon, and it was suddenly gone. Everything we'd held on to and suffered for so long was gone, and we were
we were champions of Europe again with that goal.
Yeah.
So I think that moment, or the Everton moment, it's got to be one of those two.
You okay? Well, I've got quite a few others. Just
Okay.
I'll run through them quickly. Alderweireld's goal against Tottenham Hotspur.
The own goal,
Yep.
that was pretty good.
That crazy moment where the goalkeeper hit the ball onto him, and there's that very famous image of him looking, of Hugo Lloris looking at the goal, going, "Ah!" And Mo Salah, the little dancer.
Yeah, little dancer.
Your little dancer. Because obviously it was his shot that kind of cannoned in off him.
Yeah.
Beating Spurs when they hadn't really deserved to, they've done, especially after what they'd done the season before with the dives and the penalties and stuff. For us to get a goal that was slightly fortuitous like that, joyous. I loved that. Keanu Herver against Wolves.
Yeah.
Him coming on as a 16-year-old kid. Like, when I sat there and I was like, Lovren's coming off. We've got no centre. The kid's coming on. What?
That was pretty good.
The 16-year-old kid.
Yeah, after what?
Who's
6 minutes.
no one had heard of. Suddenly he's on the bench. Oh, suddenly he's playing. Like, it was mental. That was such a great moment for me. I loved that. Alisson save against Napoli.
Yeah, it didn't give me the euphoria of the other moments.
Oh, it did for me.
Yeah.
My God, like, I went off. You never talk about saves in the way you talk about goals like you have.
You don't.
And that is the save of the season.
Yeah.
And that, like, you talk about winning us the Champions League. Without that, we wouldn't be where we are today. It was that important, and it was that good. He had no right to save it, and he still did. Incredible.
Yeah. I mean, you're totally right. We wouldn't have won the Champions League without that save.
Yeah.
But you could say that about many moments in the Champions League.
True, but that is iconic.
Firmino's header against was it a header against PSG?
Finish. No, he hit the strike across goal.
Yeah, the penalty.
Milner.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
Sturridge scored the header.
Sturridge's header. That's what yeah.
But that's not iconic in the way that save it has now become in Liverpool folklore.
I suppose.
And the other one I had was Van Dijk and the Tottenham incident where he stopped Sissoko scoring. Which...
Tell us about that.
Yeah, 2-on-1 breakaway as it 1-1 in the same game of the Alderweireld incident. Sissoko and Son are both running towards our goal and there's only Van Dijk left. But Van Dijk is so smart and so intelligent to drive Sissoko onto his weaker foot, block off the path to Son at the same time, and eventually Sissoko blasting it miles over the bar. Like, that is his iconic moment as a Liverpool defender. That when you say Van Dijk, that is everything that we have bought in him.
Yeah, it illustrates the genius of him.
Yeah,
and what he is. Yeah,
and that, in the way that Andy Robertson's chase was his moment that we all remember. That is Van Dijk's moment we all remember. It's him stopping almost basically a certain goal.
Yeah,
I mean, talking about moment of the season, maybe not as good as the couple of the others, but absolutely worth mentioning.
So what are we going for?
Everton, Divock Origi.
You reckon?
Well, the Champions League final will cover other things anyway, and also, I mean, it was so insane. It's got everything that I love in a great moment. A story you could never write. A brilliant result against a team you care about. The iconic moment of him running on the, Klopp running on the pitch with Alisson. And it's Divock Origi!
Yeah.
At the time, you have to understand, at the time, that was insane. Now, he seems to score every hero goal you need, but back then...
No, what seals the deal for me is that hug. Because I would have nominated that hug by itself as moment of the season. The Klopp Alisson hug, just for sheer exuberance of it. And so I think rolling that into one, let's give it to Divock Origi.
That goal against Everton.
That goal against Everton.
In a Merseyside derby as well.
And everything that entailed of it. The celebrations, the unlikelihood of it.
The victory against Everton.
Yeah, that moment. That's the moment of the season.
Thank you, Divock.
Well done, Divock.
You've got plenty of these moments now.
You're a man.
Oh, man. I don't think anyone has played less for Liverpool but had so many iconic moments.
Well, we say that, but he's now played 100 games. He reached a century of the first game of the season against Norwich.
But a lot of those off the bench and only a few minutes kind of thing.
Yeah, but they all count.
But like in terms of minutes per magic moment.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you don't. But most players don't get one magic moment.
Well, especially
he's had about 5.
Well, especially if you include the amazing games he had before he was injured and went out on loan back
of course
in
I do.
2016. Yeah. Like Dortmund and Wolfsburg, not Wolfsburg, Villarreal, games like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, that brings us on to our next forfeit.
Yeah.
And Matt, it's over to you. Oh my God.
That's that. I'm sorry, I can't touch it. I'm gonna be.
Please have a bit more.
No.
Take the cockles out.
No. End off.
It's such a waste of food.
I don't care. I can't eat it.
All
I'll
right.
do these 2 beers. Honestly, I will not be able to do the rest of the podcast if I eat it.
Okay. Okay, well, Matt, do you want to tell us how this next forfeit works?
Okay, so the next forfeit comes about because, the last game it was Spurs. This one it's Cardiff City at home, in which you predicted a win and I thought we'd draw.
Why did you think we'd draw?
No, actually, no. I thought we'd win 2-0. You thought we'd win 3-1, 1-4-1. So you were closer.
I was closer.
And so, therefore, I have to do the cheap lager challenge.
Yay.
Except this isn't cheap lager. This is pretty standard lager.
It's pretty cheap lager.
Well, the idea, right? So we've done a couple of drinking challenges in the past. We've done shot challenges, done the sangria challenge, where it's a lot of copious alcohol, like irresponsible drinking. And I thought, well, let's this time do a responsible drinking challenge where we drink terrible lager that's usually like 2% strong. And it's basically the reason it's so hard is because it's gross. Tastes like, brown water with a bit of alcohol dropped in it. Unfortunately, we couldn't get hold of that in time for the show.
Well, it turns out Tesco don't sell own brand lager.
Not anymore. No, I think they've got rid of it.
It's probably could come back with binge drinking culture.
Yeah, and so
Weird.
instead, Owen has provided me with 2 cans of quite strong Polish lager.
Corner shop lager, basically. Instead,
Yeah.
this is Zuba.
It's got a nice picture of a thing on it, a bison on
Polish
it.
bison.
Yeah.
Zuba zajić pod zaleski miliony podróżność zubrów di wygrania. I don't know if that's the description of a lager or like some special promotion they're running. I think looking at the back, it's probably the latter. But it is definitely Okaz Naturi Podlasia. And I can't see a percentage on it.
6.5.
Is it 6.5?
Yeah, it's quite strong.
Oh, that's good value for money. Why does it say
Yeah,
that?
it's also good value for the listeners.
Yeah, well, I hope so. Where does it say that?
I just know because I've had this before.
Ah.
So
The fact that it doesn't actually put it on the can speaks volumes.
it's a bit worrying, right?
No pun intended.
It's a bit worrying. Hang on, give me both of them. I need both of them.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I've got to drink both of them, so put them in front of me.
Yeah, but not at the same time.
Maybe at the same time.
I mean, this is big talk from a man who couldn't finish a sandwich.
Well, yeah, but I haven't eaten a cockle custard sandwich before.
You have now, and aren't you glad?
No.
Well,
I'd rather stick a fork in my eye. Okay. I've got to get these down me as quick as I can, right?
I've got one here. So yeah. Do you want me to like time it?
No, we just don't need. Oh God.
Can
I'll have it water first, just to again
yeah.
cleanse the palate a bit.
Wash your mouth out a bit.
Yeah, and also because if I'm drinking copiously, try and balance it a bit. Okay. Obviously, I'm going to be drinking a lot, so you're going to have to sort of fill the sort of audio space.
Cool. What do you want me to fill it with? Shall I commentate on you drinking beer?
No, tell us. Okay, tell us your hopes, thoughts, expectations for this season,
Okay.
and I'll start on your count.
3, 2, 1, go.
Okay.
Well, my hopes for this season are that we will continue to build on our reputation as one of the most exciting club sides in Europe and come home with twice as much silverware as we did last year. Now, that obviously is quite an open challenge because we're competing in 7 and now 6 fronts. You know, we've got 6 opportunities to win trophies left, including the Club World Cup and the UEFA Super Cup. So if we could take both of those,
Which is very soon.
which is very soon. It's Wednesday night, so it's might.
By the way, there might be a lot of burping, which is probably unsurprising.
Okay.
When you think about the gas.
That's okay. So I hope that we win. Oh my Christ!
I'm blowing it in your face just as a revenge, mainly.
That's a horrible thing to do. I would hope that I would have said at least one of the Super Cup or Community Shield. So it seems to be a Super Cup. Definitely the Club World Cup, hopefully, and another trophy. I won't presume to say which one. It would be nice to actually start getting quite successful in the domestic cups again because it's been a long time since we have been. But obviously the priority is the League and Champions League. Winning one of those again would be a very good season. Winning both of them would be beyond words. I mean, winning the League again would be like nothing else you could describe because it's never happened in my lifetime.
Or mine.
Or Matt's. So if we could have, a major trophy plus 2 of the minor ones, That would be a great season.
I was going to say, we're running out of minor ones.
If we could have 2 major trophies and 2 minor ones, or even 2 major trophies and 1 minor one.
I keep saying we should win the League Cup.
Yeah, I think we should win the League Cup.
League Cup, they win the league. Chelsea win the League Cup, they win the league. Do you know what I mean? It's like... we've got to take that seriously.
Well, the League Cup, like the European Cup, for a long time has been like our thing. We've never really been a great FA Cup side.
Strange, isn't it?
Compared to someone like Man U or Arsenal or these days Chelsea.
Like 18 times, ridiculous.
But, but we've always been a really strong League Cup or Milk Cup side, and I'd like to see us returning to those days. And the same with it, we've returned to our European pedigree. How are you getting on with Zuba, Matt?
Almost finished one.
Almost finished your first one.
That's not bad, though.
It's not bad, but
I'm starting to feel a little bit sick.
You are looking a bit rough.
Hey! I tried to do my hair today, but don't be mean.
Haha.
That was funny in my head. Also, the gas is... that's the bigger problem here.
I think the gas is addling your senses.
Well, no, but, I always thought the bigger problem with this challenge would be the gas rather than the alcohol. Because, it just... You get bloated so bad.
You glad we didn't put them... Oh, fuck me.
I've got to, right? I've got no choice.
You glad we didn't put them in the fridge now, aren't you?
Not really.
Okay.
It's just like drinking... Essentially, what I'm drinking is warm bubbles of whatever. That doesn't have any taste.
No.
Oh, God.
None whatsoever.
Also, I can definitely feel over the course of today my jeans are getting tighter.
Well, you said earlier they were too baggy, so in a way this is a public service.
I'm solving an embarrassing situation on myself. Okay, we've had enough about your football talk. Talk to me about what you would do on a day off.
What, with no restrictions?
Well, don't talk about masturbating as much as you usually do. So. That was a terrible attempt at being a funny laugh.
Oh, yeah, I'm trying
to think about something interesting you can talk about.
Got what it deserves.
Talk about your shoes.
My shoes, I actually bought these.
Oh, there we go.
I bought these in Liverpool, funnily enough. They are sort of Fred Perry kind of tennis shoe plimsolls things.
You've got short socks on as well.
I do have short socks.
Those kind of sport socks.
Yeah. They're actually trampolining socks. There's a fact for you. That's one down. I'm going to crush it into the... Oh, nearly. Finish it off. If not, it'll go all over the carpet. Here we go. Nope.
Can't stand it. Oh, that was quite loud.
But now they've, such is the way of the world, they're quite grey and off-coloured. They were lovely and pristine and white, and now the plastic sides have cracked. They're grey and possibly even sort of dark grey in places. And I really do need some new ones, but I got them in the sale and they've not been in the sale since. So, yeah, they're looking pretty damn scuzzy, to be honest.
And why have you got one bobbly sock?
I don't know. You asked me that earlier and I'm not sure.
It is weird, right, though?
It is.
Because they're the same socks, one of them is pristine and looks new. The other one is covered in, fabric bubbles.
Yeah, like from my, I think they're from my Adidas Gazelles, but I don't know what that is. I don't know why that's happened. I really don't. It's, I find it is...
It's now becoming troublesome.
You're telling me.
Oh.
It stinks.
Can I stand up? That's alright, yeah?
Yeah, of course.
I think I need to, let a bit of it drop.
Yeah.
Well, we'll walk around for a bit.
Okay. He's walking around the studio we're in.
I'm also a bit drunk, so it's not helping.
Bit drunk, and he's eating a really horrible sandwich.
Oh, mate, I'm sorry, that was awful.
I'm a bit sad you didn't eat more of it, but...
I think it's the sugar as well.
Yeah, probably.
It's very sweet, and my body can't deal with it.
Yeah. Well, I suppose I only ate one locust 2 years ago, so...
Yeah, when I gave you a shot of them. I ate the same amount of locusts as you did. You haven't eaten as much of the sandwich as I did.
Alright, give us a bite.
Really?
Yeah, why not?
Oh, I'm so excited. You can take the other end so you can get my gems.
What an offer.
No one wants my gems. I've been approved ages ago.
No one wants your other end, to be honest.
You got that, yeah?
I got that, yeah. I'm going to have a bite of my own cockle salami custard
I need to get to the mic then.
chocolate star sandwich.
So let's see how this goes.
I'm only going to have the one bite because I have no obligation to do this. This is an act of charity.
Well, I had no obligation to do the locust. I did it because you were annoying me.
Well, and you're probably annoyed with the sandwich. And I'm not going to lie, I'm curious as to what it tastes like. So here we go.
Okay, get a cockle in you.
Bon appetit.
Okay, so he's taking a big bite. Oh, big bite as well. It's not an aggressive bite. It was nice. I liked it. Now, admittedly, more of this stuff... I'll just stick over there. More of this stuff that he likes than I do, because I don't really like custard. Well, I don't mind custard, but... salami's alright. The cockles were the thing that were devastatingly awful.
It's not too bad. It is the salt and the custard. That's the two opposites that make it inpalatable.
Yeah, I've had 6 bites of that. That is eventually... It got too much.
Yeah. I can see
Especially
that.
when you've been drinking as well.
There's a slight sort of vinegariness of the cockles combined with a smooth
But
dairyness
I
of the
think
custard.
you're more into like cockles and stuff than I am.
I'm not
like
really
a-
into cockles.
I can't eat stuff like that at all. Like I would never go near it. Like vinegary pilchards or whatever.
it's a vinegariness is so
eat
diametrically
kippers?
opposed to the custard. No, I've never had kippers actually.
Because they're quite like a lot of people like kippers, right? It's like
Like
I
a,
hear about
like
it
a
a lot,
smoked kipper.
like at breakfast people have kippers or kedgeree, which is kipper and rice and stuff.
Something like that. Yeah, I've never
Yeah.
had that either. Was that salmon? Kedgeree, is it?
Well, it's like fish. I think it's
Some
just
sort of
fish
fish, yeah.
generally. Anyway, carry on. I'm going to walk around a bit more.
Kedgeree, it turns out, is well, it's flaked fish, traditionally smoked haddock with boiled rice, parsley, hard-boiled eggs, curry powder, butter or cream, and get this right, occasionally sultanas.
Sultanas?
Yeah,
Actually, you know what? That makes a bit of sense. 'Cause
Well-
I guess the sweetness of the sultanas cuts through a little bit.
that just sounds to me like the curry powder, the egg, and the cream.
Well, curry and sultanas is a thing.
Well, that just sounds to me like coronation fish. You know, like, get
Is
like
there any rice in it or anything like that?
there's rice, yeah, but I mean, you know,
It's
you get
like
like.
a biryani with
like a-
fish
yeah.
and stuff.
But you know, you get like coronation chicken, which is just like yogurt, curry powder,
Oh, I
and
like
sultanas.
coronation chicken.
I like coronation chicken, but that's just coronation haddock. Oh God, did you hear that? Oh,
I don't know. They can't respond, Owen.
it's like, well, I know they
This
can't.
is how
But I'm hoping if I leave a gap that when they're listening back to this, they'll shout yes at their laptop or mobile or other listening device.
Explore at this.
Yeah, you know.
Hey,
And
do you
in
want to jump involved? No.
And
Great!
And in a minute there'll be a little bell sound, which is when you turn the page if you're reading along with us. If you've got the Plastic Scousers 2019-20 storybook collection.
You know the other thing I didn't think about with this challenge?
Uh,
Having 2 very quick pints of beer will make me need to wee a lot.
yeah, I was wondering that.
It's the same thing as like if you drink a lot of coffee quite quickly.
Well, I don't drink
It's
coffee,
gonna
so
run out of you.
I'm
Or
fine.
even tea though, anything with caffeine in it.
I do feel quite like needing to use the toilet. But I think that's because I've drunk a lot of beer and I've just had that bite of a sandwich.
Yeah.
And I am
we can have- we
lactose
can have a little
intolerant,
break in a
so
sec.
that custard is not done too well by me.
Oh, there we go. Oh, what a strange surprise.
Why would? Well, I didn't have to eat it, but you know, just saying. Matt, how are you getting on?
I'm nearly there. I'm a
Can I feel? Can I give it a
I'm
shake?
like about half 2/3 through that, yeah?
Yeah, maybe.
That's
yeah.
not bad
Yeah.
considering it's been like 5 minutes.
2/3. Yeah. Oh God. It's the burps I'm finding the most sickening part, actually. I think.
Well, the funny thing is,
Oh.
I've always been told I have really weird sneezes. And I
Right.
also have weird burps.
Hmm.
You know.
Wouldn't argue
Like,
with
I
that.
sneeze like this.
Do you?
Like, it's like you go,
Oh, that is weird. It's kind of like something out of Winnie the Pooh.
But then if I don't do that, I do this. Like I'm sort of an adorable kawaii Japanese anime character. It's like, whereas like,
What a
how do you
reference.
sneeze? What's your sneezes like?
Well, I really don't like sneezing in public, so I tend to just hold my nose. So my sneezes tend to just be like me closing my eyes, opening my mouth, breathing quite rapidly for a moment, and again.
Okay, but what if you were like in bed with the cold and you just like you don't care, you've got to sneeze.
They're not really loud. They're just kind of like. I mean, it's quite hard to imitate a sneeze, but
Have you got quite a cute sneeze?
No, I wouldn't say it's cute. It's
Okay.
quite repressed. It's quite kind of like. At its loudest, it's probably something like this.
Oh, you've got quite like a wet sneeze.
Yeah, it is quite a wet sneeze.
See, because I watched, have you watched Community, the comedy TV show?
I've not.
American.
Is it good?
Like, there's a great thing from Chevy Chase, very famously, famous American comedian,
Yeah.
who sort of talks about how sneezes, like, if you're going to have a sneeze, you need to own it. So you need to be like, achoo! And just be like really loud and like, I'm commanding the room with my sneeze. And I wish I could do that. I wish I was like dominating with my sneezes,
No, I hate people like that.
Oh.
I
That's so good. I did this whole build up and you're like, nah, shit, mate.
genuinely, nothing pisses me off more than people with obnoxiously loud sneezes.
But sometimes they can't help it, to be fair.
Sometimes they can't help it, but
It's not
sometimes
your
they
fault.
definitely. Sometimes you can tell when they're putting it on.
Oh, okay.
I used to work with a guy, and I say work with. We were employed by the same company. He was the other side of quite a big warehouse, and when he sneezed, it was like, and literally, I wanted to break his neck with my hands
So good.
because it was so like put on and so just reveling in how irritating he could be. And it was
just
so,
to
like-
say, I'm about to finish.
oh, here we go. And it's down. And he's done.
Done.
Matt has drunk 2 cans of Zuba in I don't know how long, but we've
Like
got
10 minutes.
we've got it on record, so we'll be able to find out. Matt, how do you feel now? You must be really drunk. Would you like something to eat?
Off. I'm honestly, I feel a bit drunk, but I feel more like I feel so bloated. My stomach is like inflated, and I'm quite a fat guy as it is. But quite frankly, I feel a little bit like 6 months pregnant at this point.
Yeah. Is
I've
it
got like a
kicking?
sympathy bump for someone who's like in hospital right now.
Well, that's nice. If you're listening to this and you're in hospital, Matt has got your back, it turns out. So, as Matt puts in an admirable performance on the cheap lager...
Oh, I don't think I did bad there.
No, you didn't. I would say you weren't very disappointing.
No, I think mediocre.
Mediocre is the best
I'll
we could
take
hope
that. Mediocre is not bad.
for. Which brings us
5
on
out of 10.
to our next category, sort of relevantly. It's the award for the most disappointing player of the year.
Yeah, the player who let us down, or the player who didn't have the season we hoped.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough.
Who have you got? Who's your number one?
Well, who did we have last year? Just to give a flavour of who this is.
I have no idea. Who do we have?
I think it may have been Joel Matip. Was that his first season? Or was that the year before
He
last?
was in it at one point. No, yeah, it was him last year because he got injured and just sort of fell away.
Yeah.
Which, like, this season is absolutely not relevant because he had a great...
Great season.
Second half
Joel
of the
Matip.
season, he was fantastic, yeah.
Well, I've got... You're not going to like this, Matt. I've got Naby Keita.
He's my first choice as well.
Yeah.
Which
I know
is gutting.
I know he struggled with injuries, and just as he was getting a good run of form, he got injured in
It kept happening as well.
Barcelona game.
Start of the season, he had a great few games, got injured, came back, got his fitness, played well, got another injury.
Yeah.
Which is harsh, but also disappointing.
Disappointing. I mean, even when he was at his best, he didn't quite look like the player we thought we'd signed. Is that fair to say?
There were moments of like, yes, this is who I thought, first few games, like, he was phenomenal. Like, fantastic, control that midfield. And then there were moments like away at Crystal Palace where he looked deadly. And when he came back and scored all those goals as well, he looked fantastic. It just didn't happen often enough.
Yeah, it didn't. And it was few and far between with the great moments of Naby Keita.
Yeah.
And especially for a player, let's not forget, not only did we sign him with a great amount of anticipation, but we signed him a year before he actually started playing for us.
We were that desperate to get him.
We were that desperate to get him. And that meant
Klopp was in the club, yeah.
that we spent all of the 2017-18 season
waiting for him.
Waiting for him, yeah, and desperately looking forward to his arrival.
Yeah.
And it just didn't live up to expectations
You have
at
to
all.
remember, a lot of other clubs really wanted him as well.
Yeah.
And he wanted to work with Klopp. That was the main reason he came to Liverpool, was he wanted to work with Jurgen. Because he played for Salzburg, he played for Leipzig, and he was like, I want to work for Jurgen, because he loved him. I'm inclined to absolutely agree with you. It's the same reason that it's harsh to give it to players who get injured a lot. Right, so imagine if it was you, right, who went to work abroad and unfortunately you couldn't do your job properly because you weren't very well or because you got hurt in some way or whatever, and you're in a country you don't know, in a language you can't understand. That's hard.
Oh, totally.
And I know a lot of players deal with it better than others. I would be terrible at dealing with that. I was in Panama a couple of years ago working on a job. Yeah. And I don't speak a word of Spanish. Una copa de vino blanco, por favor. Was the only thing I learnt in 6 weeks.
Glass of red wine?
Glass of white wine.
White wine.
Vino blanco.
Vino blanco.
Because it was really hot and white wine was cold. So I was like, yes. But when people were talking to me about things, particularly when I had problems over there, like my roof caved in my room, for example.
I didn't know.
Yeah, and I got flooded massively, like up to here. Luckily, all my stuff was lifted, so it was great. But I lost a phone charger. But
Unbelievable.
I felt vulnerable and scared and weirded out by the whole thing, and like I didn't really want to be there because I felt uncomfortable because I couldn't talk to people and go, I don't know what's going on, help me please. Luckily, we had obviously translators there who could help me out, and I sort of went to them and I'm really sorry, I need your help right now. Being in a foreign country when you don't know the language, and he's clearly not great at learning languages, it will take him a little while, which is fine. Like Mauricio Pochettino's the same.
Yeah.
One of the best managers in this country. Took him 3 years to be able to speak English confidently enough, right? So he's been here a year. He's had a lot of problems with injuries. Very disappointing, but I don't think it's his fault. I think his season was disappointing because he never got the chance to really build momentum. And actually, outside of football, which does matter more than we can ever really sort of give credit for, it was more tough for him than I think he realised.
No, that's fair enough.
Basically, I'm trying to defend him to the hills, but I still have him as my number one option.
Cool.
So, although I will also say Adam Lallana is on my list.
Really? That seems a bit harsh. Why?
He played as much as Navigator did. Except
A
we
bit
expect
less,
more
I'd
of
have
him.
thought.
But the problem I have with Lallana is it's not just this year. We signed him, and I was super excited to sign him because he was like a Mediterranean Spanish player, but he was English.
Yeah.
And Liverpool got him because at Southampton he was phenomenal. Let's be honest. Him, Ricky Lambert, but also the whole that Southampton team were fantastic, right? No, Sadio Mane was in that and all that kind of thing. And we got Lallana years ago, and I was so excited about having him, and it's never worked out for him, has it? He's had spells where it's been great, but
sometimes quite prolonged spells. If you think from when Klopp took over to the end of the 16-17 season, Lallana was one of our best players. Obviously, what happened then was we signed people like Salah, and
yeah, but it didn't stop him being in the team. He moved to central midfield.
He being in the team, but
he moved into that kind of central midfield role, which worked well for him. But he couldn't handle it because he kept getting injured all the time.
Yeah, he's been on
now
lucky
he's
injuries.
moved to number 6. That is where Klopp is now trying to play him as a Jorginho type. Adam Lallana as a number 6.
Klopp clearly sees a lot in him and really likes him because he keeps trying to fit him into his team. I like him, but I think it's unfair to say he's been the most disappointing. I think
also, he's a local lad to me. Bournemouth, he's a Bournemouth boy, so not too far.
Not too far.
But I guess I just really wanted it all to work out for him, and it never really has. And last season especially, when we really could have done with a player like him at certain times, particularly those draws and stuff where we could have unlocked a defence. Every time he played, it never worked out as best as it could have done. And I guess when I was struggling to find disappointing players in a season that was so goddamn good.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, he was at the bottom of the list.
Well, I've got one other that I think is more disappointing than him. Not because he had a terrible season like Lallana did for various reasons in terms of not featuring much and not contributing much when he features. Although Lallana did have that great game against Burnley, let's not forget that. But a player who came in, took a while to make an impact, made a hell of an impact and was a really brilliant asset for us, and then dropped off entirely. It's Xherdan Shaqiri.
Okay.
Why? Before Christmas, when he was putting Man United to the sword, when he was scoring against Fulham, he was a great player. He was a really great impact sub. That game against Southampton at the end of September, unbelievable performance. Came off at half-time for some reason, but he was a phenomenal performance that day. And he gave us that aggression, that physical edge, as well as being a very skilled player that, we didn't have anyone else quite like. And he was a really, as I say, good impact sub. Something happened around the turn of the year, and he just fell completely out of favour. Some say he was injured a lot. Some say he fell out with Klopp, which I don't necessarily believe. But we stopped calling on him. And he was on the bench an awful lot, which, if he was injured, is testament to how much faith Klopp's got in him. That he was in the squad even when he was nursing injuries. But, without knowing for certain what was going on there, I just think we saw glimpses of this wonderful, really influential player. And then, as soon as we were kind of standing, I like these glimpses, I want to see more. Snatched away again and gone, and we didn't really see him again till the end of the season.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I was really fascinated by the signing when we initially made it last summer. Also, we didn't mention in fun moments of the season, and this is a very visual reference, but I'm going to do it. Remember that? The sort of double thumb finger point thing?
I know exactly
which became a bit of a meme. Basically, he on his signing day, in a sort of overly long brown jacket that definitely didn't fit him, doing a double thumb point like Paul McCartney style.
Paul McCartney crossed with Tommy Robinson.
Yeah. Oh, don't say that. That's depressing.
But do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, that became a bit of a meme. That's a bit of a gif now. Hey, like that. But I was generally £30.5 million for a player of his quality.
That was a bargain.
What a steal!
And at one point in the season,
and he wouldn't even. He knew it was the first choice, and he let perfect cover. It felt like the perfect signing.
And at one point in the season, when he was on fire, that looked like, you would say he was signing of a season.
Yeah.
The fact was he didn't actually.
He didn't kick it on.
He didn't carry on that form
between sort of December and March. Something happened.
Something must have happened.
Because before that, like you were at Southampton, which you haven't actually talked about on this podcast, but you were at the Southampton game where he was electric.
He was.
You know, and he hit that
Unstoppable.
free kick that Salah scored afterwards. You know,
Yeah.
very unlucky not to score, but he was fantastic.
He was majestic.
September, October, even into November, perfect. Well, not perfect, but you know, like exactly what we needed of him. Scoring against Man United twice, like how to endear yourself to Liverpool fans.
Absolutely.
Win against Man United, and I love him. I actually really do like really love him as a Liverpool player, and I'm really glad he's with us. But what happened? What actually and the great thing is that Barcelona game, he started, he got the assist for Gini's third. He was very good that night. He's actually not done that much wrong, really. Whenever he's played, he's not done much wrong.
No.
So he's not been disappointing if you think about it.
There's disappointment around him. It's not him that's been the disappointment, but the whole scenario has been quite disappointing.
In the same way that Naby Keita has been, I guess.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of principle. But I don't ever think he let us down.
No, I don't.
Apart from Man United, where I saw him come on and I was thinking, yeah, he'll be the refresher, and he wasn't.
Who, Keita or Shaqiri?
Shaqiri.
The second Man United game.
The worst game of the season for me. Or one, you know.
Well, that's another category coming up, I think. But
Yeah.
So who are we going to give this one to?
Well, I've got a couple other nominations,
Oh,
if I'm allowed.
Of course.
Who have I got?
I'm going to eat this nubbin of bread.
I know I hate me saying this, but Alberto Moreno.
Ah.
The big problem with him, Klopp had so little faith in him that he wouldn't even rely on him to be on the bench. You know, he'd rather have Milner playing left back or Gomez playing left back. Now, that to me starts to worry me. It's disappointing that he couldn't even be good enough to be featured there.
But a lot of that is due to Klopp's demand for versatility. You put Milner you put Milner on the bench, and if you get an injury across most of midfield or either fullback, you can bring Milner on. You put Moreno on the bench, unless you've got an injured left back, you're not going to turn to him.
Yeah.
Same with Gomez. Gomez can play anywhere across the back four.
Which means he's always guaranteed to at least be on the bench.
Yeah. Not always as effectively as in other positions. But you know, you wouldn't.
He does a job.
But you wouldn't trust Moreno at centre back. You wouldn't trust Moreno at right back. You'd scarcely trust Moreno at left back. But he was a one-position player.
But does that not make him disappointing that you can't rely on a player in his natural position to be as good as a midfielder?
It doesn't make him disappointing because none of us we
So
we
when would
know
you
that about
ever
him.
play him?
If Andy Robertson got injured,
What a depressing situation it was that actually that wouldn't have happened because Milner would have gone there or Gomez would have gone there.
I think if Andy Robertson was out for a long time, Moreno would have. You know, you look at when we signed Andy Robertson, it was because Moreno had literally spent all season playing deputy left back to James Milner, a midfielder.
Yeah.
And when we signed Andy Robertson, Moreno started as first choice left back, and it was only an injury to Moreno that let Robertson into the side. He was in the best form of his Liverpool career at the start of the 17-18 season. That injury against Spartak ended his Liverpool career because it gave Robertson, you know, that brief window of opportunity, and that was all he needed.
He cried and walked off.
Yeah, because
which is now more prophetic than possibly even he imagined.
he knew. I think he knew that
How good Robertson was,
Yeah,
or just
yeah, and
that his chance was gone.
he'd been struck down in the best form of his career, and you know that sort of momentum was
Oh,
really
now
hard
I'm
to restore
sad.
again.
No, I'm sad about that
Yeah, I am.
because he wasn't great, and like the fact that we made jokes about him being like, "Oh, Alberto Moreno is playing, so we're going to concede," and every time we said it was true. Every time.
But we expected that.
But
We-
but hang on, that doesn't mean
but
that
we
it
got-
wasn't good. It was a terrible thing.
It's a terrible thing, but I can't say I'm disappointed because I think we got exactly what we expected about Alberto Moreno.
Oh, that's sad.
It's not like
though.
we were expecting him to be this amazing player, and
Yeah.
he wasn't. We expected him to be a liability, and he was. If anything, he's performed most in line with my expectations out of any member of the squad.
Okay. So here's my last slight curveball of a nomination.
Okay.
Dejan Lovren.
There's
The
a
reason I
shout.
put Dejan Lovren in, a player that we initially signed to be the kind of frontman leader of our defence,
We did.
which admittedly wasn't this season because obviously now we have Van Dijk.
It was 4 years ago.
Yeah. Gomez was in initially from the start, mainly through fortune, because there was we had no one else at the time because Lovren was obviously the Champions League, World Cup, so he couldn't join in.
Yep.
And Matip was not away with Cam. Was he away? With, he wasn't away with Cameroon because he had a bad relationship with them. But I think he had a bit of an injury over, so he didn't necessarily start the season.
Yeah.
Gomez was fantastic until he got injured, right? Who replaced him? Matip replaced him. And Matip was fantastic, particularly towards the end of last season. Lovren, whenever he came in, it just wasn't the same. It wasn't as secure. It wasn't as good. We conceded more goals with him than with Matip, right? That's a stat. That's like, what happened. He is now our fourth choice defender. He has kept falling down the pecking order.
Yeah.
So, okay, he is supposed to be... Yeah, he's a World Cup finalist. Like, we have a lot of players who are nowhere near that. Yeah. But he's supposed to be a World Cup finalist. But nothing he did last year indicated to any of us that he should be the first choice defender in a way that Gomez and Matip both did.
I'd agree with that, and the fact that in the course of last season he went from... Because we finished 17-18 with our first choice centre-back partnership being Van Dijk and Lovren, And he went from Champions League finalist, World Cup finalist, and, first choice centre-back for Liverpool.
Yeah.
To fourth choice in a season. And he was unlucky with injuries, and he had some weird kind of mystery illness that kept him out at the beginning of the season. But that's a big backward step,
and
like you say.
Is that not like you want? So the whole point of why Klopp has the squad that he does is he wants people to put pressure on other people. Yeah. And Dejan Lovren has let us down more than any other centre back we've had this season.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue with that.
And I get why you wouldn't think about him, but actually, nothing about what he's done this season, bar the odd, like the goal against Newcastle where he volleyed it in, which is a great goal, has actually mattered and actually been significantly contributed to our season. So,
no, he's not.
I think it's about right to put him here.
No, I think that's a fair nomination, totally.
It's not my number one nomination.
No, your number one nomination is the same as mine.
Naby Keita.
So is it fair to say that he's got the gong?
Even though I love him to bits, I think if anything, that makes me more passionate about the fact that he's been disappointing.
He's let you down,
but he has a chance this year.
He does, and I hope he takes it.
Let's be positive. He has a chance this year to rectify that.
But for now, and I think given the fact as well, he's number 8, he's Steven Gerrard's odd number, and that comes with a certain expectation.
A lot of pressure.
That's a silly decision on his part, really.
Well, he number 8 apparently for family reasons is lucky to him, so you can't really.
Fair enough. But
Sorry,
it's lucky
Naby.
for him because he's just won an award. He is the Plastic Scousers' most disappointing player 2018-19.
And good luck for next year.
Congratulations, Naby.
It's funny how I care about him so much.
It is very strange. I don't really... And yet you couldn't remember him in your list of African players in the last...
I know, I'm so sorry. So we go to my next category. And this is one of my favourite categories of the year. Absolutely, I love this because... Essentially, there are players who everyone talks about all year. The media talk about them, we talk about them, going like, yes, what fantastic players they are. They've improved us massively. But sometimes players' work goes under the radar. And so this is the Plastic Scousers Unsung Hero Award. So this is a player who essentially has done extraordinary work in what has been an extraordinary season.
Yeah. Winning
the Champions League, 1 point away. Who... for whatever reason, in the press with us, has not had the recognition they deserve, and we think they should be discussed in some way.
Agreed.
Last year, it was Ragnar Klavan, who I don't regret giving it to, although he did piss off the moment he had the chance. So
I think that's unfair on old Draggy.
He wanted to play more games, but we valued the fact that he wasn't the first choice, and he still did a good job when he played.
Still, he never complained, and he did the job that was asked of him.
I was really sad that he left.
I really liked him.
Yeah.
And
also, an Estonian playing with us is a rare occurrence, so we should value it.
Yeah, I've got a soft spot for Estonia.
Yeah,
I went for an holiday.
Yeah, after Tallinn and all the stories of you and with a very drunk guy, whatever it was.
For what?
The drunk guy you hugged or was like...
Oh yeah, that looked like Boris Becker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Unsung Hero Award for someone who in a Champions League winning season did not get the recognition they deserve. Which actually I think that scales up a bit because Van Dijk, Salah, Mane, whatever, like they are top players who won the top championship, but there are lots of players who did help or were a massive part of that who don't get recognised. So Owen, who you want to nominate?
It's hard. My first nomination is Joel Matip.
Oh, you got my list, yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, as you said, didn't start the season in the first choice centre-back pairing. Bided his time carefully, waited until Joe Gomez picked up an injury and was in there. His first start of the season was that Southampton game that I was at, where he also opened for scoring. No, he didn't. Sorry, he scored the second goal.
Yeah.
A very powerful header and a very assured performance, and gave us a sort of little glimpse of what was to come later in the season when Gomez did pick up that injury against Burnley, and Matip became our next sort of our first choice centre-back pairing with Van Dijk.
Yeah.
And he had such a successful end to the season. He really did kind of, like you say, Klopp builds his squad so that they press each other to be the best they can be. And that was in evidence with Matip. He knew that one bad game and he was at risk of losing his place. And so he didn't give us a bad game. He put in solid performance after solid performance after great performance.
He was either great or at least okay and good.
Yeah. At his worst,
when we weren't playing well, for example.
Yeah, at his worst, he was totally dependable. And I think because you're playing alongside someone like Van Dijk,
which helps.
Which helps. But what I mean is, like, he takes so much of a credit for that defence, and rightly so. But you've got, in that back five, you've got Van Dijk and Alisson, who are widely regarded as two of the best players in their positions in the world.
Yeah.
You've got Alexander-Arnold and Robertson on the fullbacks.
I'd argue the same.
Yeah, I would.
Two of the best players in those positions in the world, yeah.
Get a lot of acclaim because of, the style of football they bring us.
And their productivity.
The assists, and the kind of the banter they have and their sort of personality.
Also, they're quite good defenders. Yeah. Robertson especially is a very good defender. Alexander-Arnold maybe less so, but Robertson's a great defender.
Yeah. So I think amongst the four of that five, Matip was definitely like the sort of the fifth Beatle. Do you know what I mean? He was sort of the forgotten one.
Yeah, as Gomez was early on in the season, he was like the fifth member of the. Exactly.
But I think he did everything we asked of him and more. He excelled, and he ultimately also gave the assist that won us the Champions League in June.
Which
doesn't get mentioned enough. When
also, have we talked about the fact that was his first ever assist for Liverpool?
No, we haven't.
I mean, that is what a wonderful stat to have.
Yeah,
your first ever assist for your team was the goal that sealed the Champions League,
and he scored his first ever Anfield goal this season, which doesn't get mentioned enough. Which I watched.
Congratulations!
Thank you
for blagging tickets.
And he's never been subbed.
Has he not?
He's never been subbed.
Has he been a substitute?
Yes.
Okay.
But he's the only player in our squad who's never been substituted.
Oh, because Van Dijk got injured, didn't he?
Van Dijk got injured, and now that's true of Alisson as well.
Yeah, Alisson got taken off very recently.
You include Adrian now, but Adrian and John Matip are the only Liverpool players to have not been substituted.
And I think I agree with you, but I do genuinely think, particularly towards the back end of last season, he got the praise he deserved. Which is why I am, that's the thing with the Unsung Hero Award. It's people we think deserve to be praised more than they have been.
I agree, but I think he deserves to be praised more than he has been. I acknowledge he has been praised, but I think it's quite hard to find a member of our squad that hasn't been this season.
Well, this is it, right? When I was writing these, I was like, there are very few players I can think of who have been praised. However, there's a couple who I think deserve more praise than they've got.
Okay.
Fabinho is one of them.
I think Fabinho gets a hell of a lot of praise. I don't disagree.
No. He does. I still don't think he gets enough. Because he should be considered one of the absolute key components of our team.
Yeah.
He's considered as a very good midfield player, right? I have been crying out for someone, for Liverpool to buy a defensive midfielder in his mould, in the way that we had with Mascherano or even though Xabi Alonso wasn't even there. But like a proper controlling defensive midfielder in the world of like, think of the best ones you've ever played, Claude Makelele, for example.
Yeah.
He is the ultimate like typical defensive midfielder. Or
Jan Molby.
Yeah, Jan Molby. Or like more modern day, Man City's Rodri, I hate, but he is very, very good at it. Or like, Fernandinho, or defensive midfielders who essentially affect the game so significantly, despite not doing a job that's very dramatic. We haven't had that for years and years, and we essentially in 6 hours, because it was such a ridiculously dramatic signing, when it was like, oh, we've got Fabinho now. he has come in, and it took 2 months to settle in, which with Klopp is apparently the norm now. We almost used to hit them not playing for a while. Robertson didn't. Now look at him. Fabinho is what Robertson was last year. It's so good, like vital. Fabinho not being in the side worries me, because he is essentially guarding the back four, and he's so goddamn good at it, like spotting the play, running back. And what makes me think he's the unsung hero is his job he did in the defence. He got back into that defence so many times. You know, the biggest one is the Wolverhampton game, right? The Wolverhampton defence, after Lovren went off.
Yeah.
Rafa Camacho, who's a right winger.
Yeah.
Alberto Moreno, who's a liability, as we talked about. Kiana Hervé, who's a 16-year-old. And Fabinho, who's a midfielder.
Yeah.
He controlled that entire defence and stopped us getting embarrassed. We lost 2-1. That was incredible. For a guy who is 24, 25, and a central midfielder, who before, by the way, played at right back. That's why he wore the number 2 at Monaco. That's why he wears number 3 with us. He was a full-back. I think he's had an extraordinary season.
I don't disagree with a syllable of that.
He's had a better season than anyone will ever give him credit for.
Yeah, but I don't think he's been unsung.
But he hasn't been that sung. If you understand my point.
I do understand your point, but I don't think
Matip.
Matip's been that sung either.
I think he's.
And I think Fabinho's been more sung than Matip.
But Fabinho hasn't been praised as much as I think he should do.
No, but Matip hasn't either. That's the point of his nominations, isn't it?
Okay. Yes, true. What's your next nomination?
Simon Mignolet.
I have him too.
Played 2 games, lost both of them.
Great start, son.
Great start. So, great start. But
Great start.
But has been the consummate professional. And Alisson would not be the keeper he is if he hadn't had Mignolet pushing him all the way. I don't believe that. The team spirit between them and the camaraderie between those keepers, it's a lonely position. It's the loneliest position. You train away from the rest of the squad.
It must be horrible.
Yeah.
Like, genuinely, like, thinking about it, like, if it was you or me, imagine being in that situation.
The dedication it takes to turn up every day, to train to the best of your ability, to give up to do all of that and to put all of that effort in the full knowledge that unless there's a freak accident, you're not going to play more than a couple of times between now and like next June. It must be quite a hard thing to get your head around, because with Karius you could think, well, I'm actually going to reclaim the number 1 spot. With Alisson, no chance. You're never going to be a better keeper than Alisson. You're never going to be more than a number 2.
Very few people ever will be.
Yeah. And I'd say it's an incredibly lonely position.
Particularly because he has been number 1 for us for what? Yeah, 6-year career. That's maybe 2.5 years he was our number 1.
Yeah, it's not more than that, I'd have said. But
basically half his life at Liverpool has been number 1.
He's been number 1 or fighting for number 1 quite successfully.
Yeah.
But this year was the year he kind of realised the battle was lost. But you think of the keepers that have come in to challenge him and fallen by the wayside, like people like Karius, that he successfully. And there was a spell when Brad Jones took the starting position off him. Don't forget that.
Under Brendan Rodgers.
Yeah. Brad Jones became my first choice keeper.
He was poor then, though. He was really
poor. But each time he's come back and he's fought for it. And he's got
That's
it back
mental
again.
fortitude, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. And it's. But, I do think that Alisson relies upon the support that he gets from Mignolet a great deal. There is such a bond between the goalkeepers that it really strengthens you as a player. And he's encouraged
to keep being the best he can be.
Absolutely, and he's pushed it all the way. And I think that's such an important attribute, and I think he's played such a massive part in our success and the success of our defence this year, despite not being on the pitch for more than 120 minutes.
Yeah.
No, 180 minutes.
He's on my list as well. And as I said to you, off air, he's a better penalty saver. Without question, he saved on his debut for us. He saved against Stoke City.
Yeah,
and obviously, we talk about this now. He's left, but I think there were attributes to him that we didn't appreciate. The biggest problem always was the fundamentals sometimes evaded him.
Yeah,
and that unfortunately, unfortunately he didn't have them, and Alisson does. Like, Alisson made, one mistake last season when he played out against Leicester and got embarrassed against Anfield. But the thing is, what was great about that was he then learned his lesson and didn't do it again.
Yeah, which is
Right?
encouraging.
And then he did ridiculous saves like against Napoli, and kept us in so many ties that we then couldn't not respond to him. And fair play to the guy. But yeah, Mignolet was a consummate professional the whole time, and he's Belgium's number 2 as well.
Yeah.
Like, he's not a terrible goalkeeper by any stretch.
Not at all.
No, Courtois is a fantastic keeper, but
Well, he's-
Mignolet is number 2,
He's been kept out of playing by 2 of the world's greatest goalkeepers.
which must be tough. At the same time, he knows his level, which I know sounds embarrassing, but he's
He knows
now
his-
at like Club Bruges, who are
Yeah,
probably below his level.
I would have thought so.
I'd have put him in like,
Sort of top 4 Bundesliga, maybe,
yeah,
or like again,
in
sort
the
of
Premier League, someone like Bournemouth.
yeah, top 6 kind of Serie A side.
Yeah,
Someone like
like someone
like Napoli, or
the only reason he's stepped down a little bit is because he's going home.
Yeah,
which
he's
I
going back to
understand.
Belgium.
Totally understand.
but he's still got. I mean, he's a goalkeeper. He's got potentially 10 years left in his career.
Yeah, particularly because he's like 31, 30, 31.
Yeah, something like
He's a
that.
couple of years older than me. I know that. Yeah, no, I've got him in my list, and I'm 100% behind it.
He's 31. Yeah, he's 31. So he could play for another sort of 7 or 8 years.
I've got one other nomination,
So have I. Go on.
who you may have as well, and I've always been like, you really opened my eyes a few years ago to the idea of a player who didn't play a lot, but when they did, really contributed. And it's not Divock Origi, because let's be honest, like
He's pretty
he's not
sung.
unsung.
No.
He's almost oversung in times, but
which is
you know,
nice to see, actually.
an oversung hero of the year.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about another one, and that's Daniel Sturridge.
Daniel Sturridge.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more.
He didn't score a lot of goals for us, but the goals he scored all mattered.
This season, yeah.
And particularly before the turn of the year, where he didn't really get much of a look in. The goal against PSG, the header to make us 1-0 up, he was up front for that, and he looked deadly. He scored that fourth against. Well, I just want to mention this: the fourth against West Ham, the opening day of the season. He literally ran on from being a sub, wandered into the box, and scored. That is a Sturridge goal. Have you ever heard
Sturridge
of
plays, Sturridge scores.
Yeah,
So we could revive the old phrase this
Oh
season.
man! But like, that is a Sturridge goal if ever you've heard one. He just wanders on, like, okay, what's gonna happen now? Oh, here's the ball. I've scored. I love that Sturridge to beat.
Yeah.
And then of course the Chelsea goal, which was,
Exquisite.
well, we'll talk about it later, but it is one of the best Liverpool goals for a long time. But more than anything else, I think for a player who has had it all, he was the king at Liverpool with Suarez and Sterling.
Yeah.
In that season,
The
he
SAS.
he was England's best striker.
Yeah.
He had everything, right? He scored against, even recently when he scored against Wales in the European Championships.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
and he won the
That
game
was,
for
that
us.
was 3 years ago.
Yeah, but
I say recently, but yeah.
he with Liverpool, right?
Yeah.
So he had everything, and he could have been the star of the show, and he got so many injuries that basically ruined his career, right?
Yeah, they did, totally.
But after coming back from West Brom, the attitude was phenomenal, and the way he put himself about and said, "Right, I'm grateful to be here. I will do what I can to help you win," and he did. Even if it took 6 months for it to follow through with us, the Champions League winner, without him scoring against PSG, without him contributing to other matches, it wouldn't have happened.
Would not have happened.
And
I agree totally.
I am delighted that he has been vindicated at Liverpool with a Champions League medal after everything he contributed to in the year we didn't win it.
It would have been a tragedy and a travesty if the curtain was to come down on his 6.5 years with Liverpool,
It's a long time.
and he left empty-handed. When he was-
Like other players have done in the past.
like Coutinho did. Sturridge was so integral to that season where we very nearly won the league after 25 long years.
Yeah,
It would have been a disgrace if he'd walked away at the end of his Liverpool career without something to show for it.
yeah.
And he
And he-
scored some incredibly important goals for us, not just this season, but you look back at the 2016 Europa League final. That goal he took then.
What
was-
a goal that was as
Yeah.
well. Outside of the left foot. Like, bloody hell.
And every time he's really come into form, like he's been struck down again by injury, it's so hard to watch.
And
Because
he's...
we know what a great player he is at his peak.
Yeah.
We've been blessed. I don't think any fans have seen peak Daniel Sturridge like at his best, like Liverpool did for that 13-14 season.
Yeah,
was
with
n-
him and Suarez.
He was never that good before, and he was never that good again.
No.
But this season, he was an incredibly important part of our side. And as I said on the last podcast, which is available now on iTunes, to watch him doing the Sturridge dance one last time with the Champions League trophy in front of him literally melted my heart.
And I totally agree with that as well. Yeah.
So yeah, I had him down. I've got one more nomination.
Oh yes, please.
I'm going to surprise you a bit here because I'm going to nominate an academy player.
Oh, okay.
From our under-14 side.
What?
It's Oakley Kananoye.
Oh, the ball boy.
The ball boy. He's actually on the books of Liverpool. He's in our under.
Is he?
He's just been promoted to the under-16s actually for this season. But he's on the playing staff, and he was the ball boy that threw the ball back in quickly for Trent Alexander-Arnold to ping that corner into Origi that took us to the Champions League final, and therefore took us to the Champions League. And
Okay.
I just love the fact that one day that boy who played such an integral part in our 6th European Cup triumph might one day be playing for Liverpool himself. And I don't necessarily expect us to give him the award, but I think it's...
Well, he's not unsung, is he?
Well,
Because in fact, if anything, he's like I wouldn't have thought about it until all the press jumped on him.
But did you know his name? If I said to you, Matt, what was the name of that ball boy?
No.
And I mean, it's a pretty unusual name, isn't it? Oakley Kanonier.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think you're pronouncing it right. Like, is that
Cannoneer, maybe?
Exactly.
I've literally never seen it before as a surname, but I just think it's it's such a wonderful story, and I think there's so much potential for where this story can go. We talk about how Trent Alexander-Arnold was the mascot for the Merseyside derby,
He held Carragher's hand as he went out.
Yeah. And now he's winning the Champions League with us. This could be the same thing, but we're seeing it happen in real time. Instead of, imagine if we could have said at the time, watching that mascot walk out holding Carragher's hand, hey, he'll have a Champions League medal around his neck one day because he will take us there with all his assists and amazing play. Yeah. You'd have thought we were balmy. And yet we're in the position now, we're in this incredibly rare position where we can look at an under-16 player and say, you know what, they have this massive impact, basically before they hit puberty. And we might be one day seeing them
winning the Champions League.
Yeah. Who knows?
History could repeat itself. Absolutely. And yeah, I think you're right. But as I said, I don't think he was unsung. I think if anything, everyone paid attention to him at exactly the right temperament.
Maybe.
Whereas, some of the nominations we've just suggested probably fall into that category a bit more. So who do you want to give it to?
Well, I think there's one player that we've both been in complete agreement about. And one player who's really probably struggled the most this year to get game time, but has still had as much of an impact, arguably more of an impact than if he had been playing.
Yeah.
And I don't think you can get much more unsung than that. And I think it would be very nice for us to, after 6 years, wish a fond farewell to our number 22, Simon Mignolet, with this year's Unsung Hero Award.
He's done more, he's made a number of errors, and he's done a number of things that weren't great, but he's also done enough for us to, and both in terms of outside and inside football, to suggest that he deserves some kind of recognition for us. And also because the other person in this list may be getting an award later on.
Yeah. Also, look at his little face.
Oh. Good guy, Simon Mignolet. Unsung Hero of the Year
2019.
Thank you for everything.
All the best for the future, Si.
Yeah, good luck. Once a Red, always a Red. The best non-football moment. So this category essentially is a Liverpool-based event that happened throughout the last 12 months that is not based on the pitch, essentially. So outside of the football events, things that happened that we enjoyed or we should celebrate that aren't necessarily about the game itself. So the first one I want to bring up is a guy called Mike Kearney. So Mike Kearney is he became viral probably at the end of last year for being in the crowd, and he had a cousin who was whispering, essentially talking to him about the game and what was going on, and everyone loved it on Twitter and stuff. It was such a wonderfully cute thing. It's such a beautiful kind of way of helping people who maybe aren't able to enjoy the game like we are to enjoy the game. And in October, Mo Salah invited them both to Melwood, and they got to look around the whole complex, got to meet all the players, and obviously Stephen Garcia, his cousin, was talking to him about what was going on and stuff, and then they got to watch the game that night, and it was such a beautiful thing.
That is a lovely thing to do.
That is you and I cannot empathise with what it must be like to be like that. But to be a Liverpool fan and for your cousin to be who care about you so much, to talk you through the game and be like, this is what's happening, this is what's going on. Honestly, it just warmed my heart. I loved it. What a wonderful thing for Liverpool to be able to bring to people. We've talked about a lot of non-football moments in the past, both sort of funny ones and the more emotional ones. But I think that represents Liverpool in so many ways that we maybe don't ever get to talk about, in terms of not only a family club, but a club who allows anybody, doesn't matter what disabilities you have, doesn't matter what race, colour, creed you are, to enjoy football and to be part of our family.
Yeah.
What an amazing thing. What an amazing thing. And like them getting invited to Melwood is just perfect, I think, in my opinion. Yeah.
It's a really lovely gesture by a man who has not lost touch with his humility and his humility and his humanity.
Yeah, you're right.
I've not got anything that can compete with that, to be honest.
But what have you got?
Well, I had the sort of victory parade at the end of the Champions League final.
Which is a non-football moment, I guess.
Which is, 750,000 fans. Just to put that in perspective, Matt, that's more than the population of Liverpool.
So a lot of people travelled.
Yeah. And a lot of people presumably left the city. But
yeah, Everton fans, for example.
Yeah, or just but I mean, yeah, police and club estimates put it at 750,000 people. In middle of 2018, the population of Liverpool was 494,000. Like the whole population of the city and half again were on the streets of Liverpool that day to welcome us. So the air was thick and red with smoke and flares. And, you know, singing. You can watch the Liverpool players singing every single word of LA, 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 and banging it out on the side of a bus for emphasis. Jurgen Klopp nearly fell off the back of the bus, you know, absolutely pissed. Richie Partridge and Ryan Brewster.
Also, I forgot to mention Van Dijk picking up the microphone and interviewing one of his own mates. I think it was Joe Gomez or something.
Yeah,
you remember this?
Yeah.
They were having such a great time. Van Dijk went, okay, I'm in charge, and then he started interviewing someone. Oh, it was so good. It was wonderful. I've been waiting for that for years and years.
I mean, the last time we won the Champions League and have a victory parade, it was obviously the next day again, but that was a Thursday, and I was at school, and so I didn't actually see any of it. I just saw still images afterwards. This time I had it on the whole telly for the whole thing.
Yeah, I was watching on YouTube the entire time.
Yeah, I was doing other things. I was cooking dinner and all that, but I kept coming back in and just keeping an eye on it. And literally, like you said before, these players hadn't slept. They were all bleary-eyed and knackered, but they were there singing along. Like, some of them barely had the energy to actually lift the cup aloft, but they were. God, it made me so proud to be a Liverpool fan. It was such a magical moment.
To see that I was part of this legacy, this community.
I wish I'd gone up there. I tell you, I wish we'd just said.
If I could have done, I would have done.
Yeah, but next time I think we should just go screw it. Let's get up there for that.
I'd like to talk a little bit about Jamie Webster.
Okay.
Because I don't know if it's just me, but this year, among every other year that I've been a Liverpool fan, Liverpool songs have been way more front and centre. And he is the lead on that, right? The Virgil van Dijk song, LA, 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 Bobby Firmino. All of these songs come from one little Scouser who has a fantastic voice and a great little bit of guitar. And there are two moments of his that I loved. One, at Madrid, in front of 60,000 Liverpool fans in Madrid Square, where he was basically playing guitar. And by the way, I'm a guitarist. I love music. I love all that kind of stuff. And I would love to have been doing that, like picking up my guitar, playing a few chords, and doing that. And it was beautiful watching him making a sea of red jump with all the flares, all the flags, all the scarves. What an extraordinary moment for him, a young kid who happens to be able to write a good song. But also the moment last season where Jurgen Klopp turned up, which was almost a moment he justified himself as being Liverpool songwriter. Jurgen Klopp turns up in America, Jamie Webster's there playing a few songs, Jurgen Klopp sings LA LA with him, and suddenly he's not only Liverpool songwriter, but he's written anthems that will define a generation.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Immortal anthems.
And watching that grow this year has been phenomenal. And I absolutely love him to bits. And I would love to meet him.
I would. I think, yeah. No,
You
I
know?
don't disagree with any of that. It's a really good shout.
Yeah. I like that guy a lot. And songs matter so much to Liverpool, I think.
Yeah. It kind of makes you very envious as well, doesn't it? It makes you very kind of like, ooh.
Oh, yeah, I'd love to be him. I'd love to be him. But at the same time, he is Liverpool through and through.
Oh, totally.
Like, we didn't grow up there.
No.
We didn't pick up a guitar because we wanted to sing Liverpool songs.
I shouldn't pick up a guitar.
The passion and the love and the work involved in making those lyrics work as well. That's not easy. It's not easy to write a parody.
No, it's not.
We
tried it once and it was really hard, wasn't it?
It was terrible. Yeah. But to be able to do that and make it serious and make you a career out of it, yeah. I think Jamie Webster, as a non-football thing, I love him.
It's a pretty good shout.
Yeah.
That does remind me of my another shout I had, which was in that fan park in Madrid before the Champions League final.
Which is the same thing, yeah.
All those Liverpool fans there. And John Barnes came out. And I don't know what that song is called. If it goes, a hip to the hop, a hip, a hip, don't you stop. You know what I mean? Rapper's Delight, hip hop hippie, yeah.
There we go, Rapper's Delight.
I said a hip hop, hippie to the hippie, the hip a hop, and you don't stop. A rock it out, bubba to the bang bang boogie boogie to the boogie, to the rhythm of the boogie the beat. Now what you hear is not a test. I'm rapping to the beat, and me the groove. My friends are going to try to move your feet. I have no idea how this goes beyond the first. I said a hip hop bit.
But he went out and did it.
But John Barnes went out and smashed it, and I mean it's just so bloody weird, but wonderful.
It was great.
And
Anything else you got?
Changing tone slightly, Alberto Moreno after we won the Champions League.
Yeah.
In his t-shirt.
Yeah.
Jose Antonio Reyes, they played together at Seville. Many people will mainly know him for his time at Arsenal. They actually won the Europa League together with Seville before he signed for Liverpool. He tragically died in a car crash. It was the same day as the Champions League final. It was the 1st of June.
Yeah,
Alberto Moreno obviously knew he was going to play no part in that Champions League final. But he had a t-shirt printed, and that must have been a very sudden decision to have to make. But to see him there, like, kissing his hand and beating his chest in the aftermath of us winning our 6th European Cup, in front of the cameras, and showing the world, like, his mate, and dedicating that Champions League win to him. And it was a really lovely and touching moment, and it was somehow, it shouldn't be, but it was made all the more touching by the fact you knew that was Alberto Moreno's last contribution as a Liverpool player.
Well,
and
we knew it was, yeah.
Yeah, and he was using that opportunity not to go mad and not to throw himself into all of it, but to pay tribute to his dead mate.
Well, he was like, I guess the tone was, I'm delighted to win the Champions League final, I want Reyes with me. That was how it felt to me. It was like, Jose is with me, I'm going to celebrate this with all my wonderful friends and family and be grateful that I had the time with Reyes as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's beautiful. It was absolutely lovely. And, respect to Jose Antonio Reyes. And,
yes, absolutely. And to Alberto Moreno.
Yeah, absolutely. And good luck in Villarreal. Yeah. Good luck to him. I hope he does well. So, I've got one other non-football moment, and it involves a child from Hong Kong. In October last year, because obviously ESPN follow a lot of football and blah 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 blah, and they got all stuff. They found a young kid from Hong Kong who'd come to Liverpool with his dad, and this kid was like 5-6 years old. And they interviewed him and go, "Oh, who's your favourite player?" Blah blah blah, and what's going on? And he sung "LA LA LA" into a microphone. Not very well, because obviously his English wasn't great. Including the line, "We're never going to stop. From Paris down to Turkey, we've won the
f***ing
lot." He didn't sing the line. He just went, "For lost," right? But what was beautiful about this is he sang the song the entire way for about a minute in front of ESPN. So much so that Liverpool went, "We love this kid. We want to find him." Put a video out about him on ESPN. And then gave him his favourite player's shirt. Would you like to guess who his favourite player is? I'll give you 2 guesses.
Henderson.
Nope.
Salah.
Andy Robertson.
I
His favourite player,
nearly said
this
that.
6-year-old kid, is Andy Robertson.
Don't blame him for a
What
second.
a legend. One absolute legend.
It wasn't this year that Andy Robertson gave someone else Firmino's shirt, was it?
No, that was the year before.
Yeah.
We actually talked about that quite a lot in
We
the last
did,
podcast.
Yeah, I thought we had.
So who's our best non-football moment? What is our best non-football moment?
Oh, God, what do you think?
I actually don't know. I personally, maybe Jamie Webster, only because of what he's left us as a legacy.
I don't think that's the best football. I don't think that's one moment there.
So what is?
Either Moreno in the Reyes t-shirt, or Mo Salah and Mike Kearney.
Well, that's the only one we've both got.
Yeah.
So I think Mike Kearney and the kind of getting a guy who has been to Liverpool for years. By the way, it's not the first time he's ever been know, at Liverpool. Celebrating disability in that way is so fantastic and so beautiful. Like, that is Liverpool through and through.
Fundamentally, Matt, I'm an emotive man.
Yeah.
And stories like that will always tug at my heartstrings enough to win.
Mike Kearney and Steven Garcia.
And Mo Salah as well.
Yeah.
Best
You are
non-football
Liverpool
moment of the year.
fans. So, we've got a few more awards to announce. There's a few more awards kicking around by my feet, so we should give them out.
They're only
so
gathering dust down there.
Let's
aren't
get into the big ones.
Oh.
The big awards.
Oh.
Starting with goal of the season.
Oh.
I love goal of the season. I don't know what about you, but I love goal of the season.
I
It's
can
one of
never
my
remember
favourite.
half of them, so it's one I actually feel an uncomfortable amount of pressure with.
But you must remember a few.
A couple.
What ones stand out to you? Give me your biggest hitter.
Well, two of them are against the same opposition, both scored by players who used to play for that opposition. So we'll go in chronological order. We've touched on it early tonight, or this morning, or whatever time of day we're now in. Daniel Sturridge against Chelsea.
What a goal! What a goal! Like something out of nothing, right?
Oh,
Like we were really struggling against Chelsea. They were defending really well. We had no real options to try and get anything out of this.
yeah, we're about to lose.
Yeah.
We were about to lose.
We were about to lose, and it was such a nonchalant kind of tap it out. Okay, I'm just going to whip this in. Top right hand corner. No goalkeeper in the world would have had a chance.
Yeah,
it was
from
unbelievable.
so far out as well.
Yeah, unbelievable strike.
And my favourite thing was the Liverpool website put up a video on Twitter a day after, showing that goal from about 25 different camera angles.
None of them weren't unimpressive either.
No, but it always cut out at the same point. So you got the sound of Sturridge's boot actually hitting the ball.
Yeah.
The sound of it hitting the net. This kind of, and then that was it. It didn't dwell on the audience, the crowd reaction. So it was like, hey, 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 literally about 20 times, and it drove me a bit mad. But I couldn't stop watching it.
No, the technique was ridiculous. No, we're all eating. We're all at a point now where we're just munching around.
I'm so hungry.
Yeah, but it was just so out of the blue as well. And that was Sturridge. I think that is Sturridge's best definition. Was he scored goals that you just never saw coming. Remember his chip against West Brom, where he lobbed Foster from an impossible angle. He should never have scored that, ever.
Never.
You know, that was Sturridge. I will miss Sturridge a little bit.
I will. I miss having him there.
And he had the ability to create. And that game, well, unfortunately, it didn't matter in the long run. But at the time, we thought it would. You know.
I mean, it was still a euphoric result. There are some draws that feel like a defeat, and some draws that feel like a win.
That felt like a win.
That felt like a win. That 1 point felt like 3.
What a massive opportunity that was. But what a goal!
What a
I could
goal.
watch it all day. And I'll mention your second one then,
Go on.
which is against the same opposition as you said. The goal against Chelsea by Salah, which you mentioned on the last podcast. Holy hell! What a hit this was.
Yeah, magnificent. Sort of starts cutting inside, leading one of the Chelsea players a merry dance. There's another one comes in to get him in a pincer movement. He lets fly. Oh, no stopping that. One of the goals of the season in any competition, for any club, in any league, anywhere in the world.
And the celebration.
With the kind of I'm guessing it was Islamic, but it looked almost Buddhist, a kind of Zen state of. Yeah, it was magnificent.
And like, against your former club, like, and considering the situation we were in, where we were chasing the title down, and we had to try and, yeah. And as we mentioned on the last podcast with the whole racist abuse he just received, wow, what a strike!
What a hit song!
What an incredible goal! So those are my top two.
They're my top two. I've got one more that I thought was deserving of like.
One more? Oh, I have many.
Well, I mean there were a lot, but I was trying to whittle it down.
So you've got your third.
My top three.
Okay, hit me with that, because I've got an interesting structure to my top goals.
Okay.
So hit me with your third.
Sadio Mane against Bayern Munich.
I mean, that's phenomenal. Yeah. Explain that one.
Ball comes to him. He basically dribbles past one of the best goalkeepers in the world. Makes him look stupid as hell. Like,
what, you mean a left winger for Germany, who left South Korean goal massively open? You remember that in the World Cup?
Oh, I meant Neuer.
Yeah, exactly. Do you not remember this? When Germany were about to go out of the World Cup, and he played as a left midfielder.
I do remember that now.
And then South Korea just went, "What are you doing?" Was going to run in.
I'd forgotten that.
I was at the gym watching that. One of the best days of my life. Watching, like, me and other people in that gym. There's only like 6 of us. Watching him be an embarrassment, and the entire German team, and us celebrating South Korea scoring a second. I was like hugging sweaty men I've never met before in my life.
You hug a lot of men in pubs and gyms and stuff. But he is one of the world's best goalkeepers, and Mane made him look like a sort of conference level, punter. Takes it around him. Just a moment of divine skill. And
the thing is,
oozing confidence and sort of self-belief.
Yeah.
And at such an important juncture of the game as well.
Thing is, he mugged off the goalkeeper, but he still had a lot to do.
Yeah.
Like, he's had 2 defenders in the way, but he just chipped it in almost like it was too easy. I'd never have done that. I
wouldn't.
Never think about it, but like, what a phenomenal goal.
Amazing.
And particularly considering the relative importance of it. Where it was like, well, we draw 0-0 in the first leg, and now he scored away from home.
Yeah, in one of the all-time like crucibles of European football as well, in the Allianz Arena.
Exactly, certainly in recent years.
Yeah.
So no, I absolutely have that on my list. I've got a couple of other Mane goals that I think we should talk about.
Go on, talk us through your list.
At home to Watford with the back heel chip over the goalkeeper.
Okay.
I mean, that was how many. What a ridiculous goal that was. Like, the ball comes into him, he chipped it in, the ball crosses in, he has a terrible first touch. The ball goes basically away from the goal, and then he volleys it with a back heel over the goalkeeper. You remember this, right? It was that is a ridiculous goal. Ridiculous technique.
That takes some doing.
No, I don't know any other player I'd ever seen do that before. That was crazy. What a goal. I loved that. I absolutely loved that. So here's some other goals I've mentioned. Origi versus Barcelona, the second one, which we talked about.
Got to be, yeah. I mean, I have that as a moment of the season, but
yep, still one of the goals of the season.
Absolutely
Very significant. Origi against Tottenham in Madrid. The second goal.
I said that as a moment of the season as well.
Great goal, irrespective.
Well,
yeah. I've got what else have I got? Salah against Napoli. That goal that makes it 1-0. Without that, the whole Champions League run doesn't happen.
It's certainly significant.
And actually, what a turn against a guy they called the Wall in Koulibaly. Salah, who's like 5'8", turns a brick wall like he's not even there,
Is he
and
only
then
5'8"?
finishes it brilliantly. Huh?
Is he only 5'8"?
5'8", 5'9". He's not tall at all.
What are you?
5'7". Bit taller than me, but like Koulibaly is like 6'2", 6'3".
Yeah.
Right? Goes past him like he's not even there. Great footwork. Again, like that Spurs goal last season, where he like mugged several players off and finished it. Same type of thing, right? What a goal! And particularly with the context of it, that goal, you could say won us the Champions League, in many ways.
You could, yeah.
Like, without it, we wouldn't be where we were. And it was such a brilliant goal as well. Footwork, dodging people, all the rest of it. So, what a great strike that was. I also mentioned Salah against Hampton, which he talked about in the last podcast.
Yeah, the long
What
run all the way down the pitch.
Phenomenal run, great finish, shirt off. This is me. And also against Bournemouth away, where he essentially dummied 2 people and mugged the goalkeeper off twice.
I'd forgotten that one actually.
What a that was almost arrogance personified. But it was so good.
Unsung goal of the season, couldn't it?
I've got Trent against Watford away.
Okay.
That free kick. What a beautiful kick that was. Away from home.
Just before he scored his first England goal as well.
Yep, absolutely. Firmino against PSG.
Important, again, significant goal.
Also a great goal.
Yeah.
Smashed across the... And also, the game before that, he got poked in the eye. That's where this came from. The sort of covering the one eye.
Yeah.
Which is now becoming his thing. Like, he does that every time he scores. Or, like, nearly every time he scores.
Does he?
That was because of the game before that. And he comes on and does that. Again, puts us in the Champions League, wins us Champions League, essentially. Which we now know. And I also put him against Arsenal, where he mugged, 3 players off on that run.
That was good.
What a great goal that was.
That was very good.
Like, that is Firmino in a nutshell. Beating players, turning, twisting. Okay, and now I'm scoring. So, I love that to bits.
He's a wonderful player, isn't he? He's so likeable.
Wijnaldum's chip against Bournemouth. At home. Ball comes over the top. Wijnaldum's in. Chips the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
It's a great goal.
It's a great goal.
It's a
I think
great
in
goal.
many other days that would have been a strong contender, but I think there's so many...
Or what about Wijnaldum's goal at Wembley against Spurs? Phenomenal header.
Again,
Like, that is a tough technique to make. Would you compare it to his against Cardiff? Because that is a great strike.
I think his one against Cardiff was better.
Sweeping in from, that kind of
From
thing.
the corner to absolutely wallop at home.
How about Mane against Man United, where he's running through and he chips De Gea before Shaqiri scored those 2 goals? Great goal. Absolutely great goal. I've got a couple of Shaqiri ones as well. Shaqiri against Burnley, that breakaway where Sturridge did that ridiculous chip.
Yeah.
And then it's a ridiculous breakaway that Shaqiri ends up finishing off. Also, Shaqiri both against Man United as well. Those deflected goals. Beating Mourinho, beating Man United. Incredible, right?
Yeah.
And then I've also got... What else I got? Lovren against Newcastle. That volley.
That was good.
Great goal. Fantastic technique.
On the score sheet again as well.
Salah against Palace. So I mentioned this because that Julian Speroni mess up. Do you remember this? So Julian Speroni played 1 game for Palace last year as a third choice keeper.
Yeah.
Came to Anfield, flapped it into Salah's path.
Oh yeah, I remember that now. Yeah.
Oh, that was bad.
That was bad.
Oh man. May not wanted to bring it up just because I thought we should talk about it at some point. Yeah, that was my last one.
We're going to have to be quite selective here.
Well, yeah, I was going to say most of those I just wanted to mention because I was like, the listeners would probably enjoy thinking about those goals from the past. But I've only got one that I want to pick.
I'm guessing it's against Chelsea?
Sturridge. Only because give him an award because he has contributed so much and received so little throughout his years.
No, that's a good
And
point.
that goal is phenomenal. Considering that he had... like Salah, the momentum was with us when he did that. Sturridge had no right whatsoever to pull off what he did.
No,
at all.
That's very
And
true.
what a goal, technically.
And like you say, it's really nice that he gets a reward when he's given so much to us. And so many great goals down the years.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's give it to Sturridge.
Sturridge against Chelsea. What a strike, son. What a goal.
Our clinks are getting better as we go on tonight, aren't we?
Yeah. Even if our content isn't.
Oh, I'm just very aware that in a few moments I have to do 100 press-ups. So.
Well, we've got another award to give out before that.
Okay.
And that is Game of the Season.
Well, if I tell you now I've only got 1 nomination for this.
Okay.
That's most of
Do
them.
you know what? All right. We probably have the same game as the nomination for Game of the Year. So I'm going to mention all the other ones that I listed, and you can tell me how you feel about them.
Okay, that sounds fair.
From the bottom. Liverpool 5, Huddersfield 0.
I mean, when we talked about it on the podcast for that month, we both just felt really bad for Huddersfield.
But still a good performance.
Oh yeah, very good performance.
Okay. Liverpool 5, Watford 0.
That was a wonderful performance.
Watford at home for us. We always destroy them. Which... impressive considering
normally
this
by
year.
a 5-goal margin as well.
Yeah, considering this year, Watford are actually really goddamn good.
Yeah, they are getting a lot better.
You know. What else have I got? Liverpool 4, Crystal Palace 3. That was mental.
Yeah, it was mental. It was an exciting game, exciting finish.
For the neutral, what a match.
For the neutral, I couldn't agree more.
Speroni with his flappy hands.
I'm not a neutral, however.
No. Porto 1, Liverpool 4. Phenomenal performance away from home. Liverpool 1, Everton 0. Obviously had to go in.
You got the moment of the season already.
Bournemouth 0, Liverpool 4. Salah dominating.
That
was Salah's best game of the year.
Silence for doubters. That was when he really kind of told everyone to shut up that he was the same player as last year.
Southampton 1, Liverpool 3. With that run from Salah and goal.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was the best game of the season.
No, but that moment was fantastic.
Yeah.
Liverpool 2, Tottenham 1. When we're at home with the own goal at the end.
That was a very exciting
That was very
game,
satisfying.
Yeah.
Bayern 1, Liverpool 3.
Again.
That was phenomenal.
Real statement win.
That was because considering we'd lost the 3 away European games before that.
Yeah.
That was fantastic.
That was when we got our European mojo back.
Yeah. So we really earned that one. Liverpool 3, Man United 1. Shaqiri with his 2 goals. Beating Mourinho. I thought that has to be in there.
Getting Mourinho the sack is definitely worth a mention.
Yeah.
We did
and
that
beating Man United that way.
Yeah.
So I thought that's got to be up there.
Yeah, that was a good shout.
No, fantastic. Liverpool 3, PSG 2.
Yeah, very
great game, particularly the end of it.
Game of 2 halves, but with a really nice conclusion.
Liverpool 5, Arsenal 1.
Yeah, see,
that was a demolition.
We don't talk about that enough because Arsenal aren't the force they were.
But that was fantastic.
That was brilliant.
Like Firmino's hat trick, they are a top 6 side, and we basically embarrassed them. That's fantastic.
Oh, we totally.
That's in my top 3. Legitimately, that's in my top 3.
What was really nice about that was they were one of only 2 sides out of 19 that we hadn't beaten in the first half of the season, and the first one we played it for the second time,
and we tore them to shreds.
And we absolutely destroyed them. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say that is one of the best games you've played all season.
That was good.
And then my top 2, Liverpool 2, Tottenham 0 in Madrid.
Yeah, for obvious reasons.
And then Liverpool 4, Barcelona 0.
I mean, that is the only one I wrote down because.
I'm glad I mentioned all the other ones.
Yeah,
because I think it's not fair not to.
No, I agree.
But just describe it for us once more, just because Also, I need to open my beer.
Okay. They said after we lost 3-0 in the new camp, we've still got a slim chance of progressing, but we're going to have to be absolute perfection in the home leg, and we were almost flawless from every single member of the team put in an absolutely flawless performance. We scored 4 goals against one of the best teams the world has ever seen. The circumstances of it, the noise of the Anfield crowd, the fact, if we'd won 4-0 in the first leg, it wouldn't have meant as much. It was the comeback of it.
And I know you said the circumstances, but I just want to be clear. Firmino and Salah both couldn't play.
Yeah, both missing.
We had Shaqiri and Origi instead.
Yeah.
Which, in any other situation, it doesn't make sense.
No. And the whole thing with Wijnaldum missing out on starting and then coming on from the bench and basically changing the course of the game and our history forever. But the whole confusion and iconic muddle with the ball boys with Oakley, that sort of Trent's dummy or whatever with the corner, Origi's touching at home, the sheer look of bewilderment and panic on the face of the Barcelona defenders.
And some of the greatest players in the world. Can I say,
just completely humiliated. The look on Suarez's face afterwards. The look on all of our faces afterwards. The lining up in front of the cop to sing "You'll Never Walk Alone" arm in arm with every member of the backroom staff and all the subs and non-playing players all together. The fact that Trent stayed on the pitch for about half an hour after the game and just walked around applauding before coming off.
Including the Barcelona fans as well.
Yeah. In fact, I was watching it in a bar in Corfu where I ended up just giving the doorman a massive smack on the lips. For me, nothing comes close to it. Even in a season of fantastic results and brilliant games, nothing comes close to this.
I think the thing that makes it for me is how outrageously daft it is that it was Divock Origi that scored twice.
And that.
Gini Wijnaldum, he's been a very key player for us for a long time. But the whole narrative of the thing, and the fact we then, because this is the thing you always do, it's like when we beat Dortmund and then lost to Sevilla in that final, you were always like, well, it takes the shine off that fantastic performance, and basically the narrative ends.
Yeah.
This year, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
This year, the narrative met its final conclusion.
The brilliant comeback was worth it.
And I'll never, ever forget it. And what excites me, genuinely, I don't think that will be the last time that happens. Under Jurgen Klopp. I genuinely don't, because we are not necessarily a Man City who win every game 5-0 when it's really boring. Sometimes we will go away from home and we'll have a Barcelona incident, which did happen, right?
Yeah.
We'll do that again in the next couple of years. But as long as we can take any team back to Anfield, I have no worry we will do something special. Jurgen Klopp has never, ever, ever lost a two-leg knock out as a Liverpool manager.
No, that's true.
That is insane.
That is a remarkable record.
That is insane. The only European ties he's ever lost are finals as a Liverpool manager. That, like,
And group stage.
no other manager on earth has ever gone close to that stat.
No.
It's extraordinary, and what makes me more happy than anything else, we've got more of this to look forward to. Let's be honest, this isn't the last time we're going to win something with him. But this game tops the lot.
So our decision is made.
Oh, it was made from the start.
Yeah.
Essentially, all we did was go, here's some other good games, and then let's talk about the great one.
Liverpool 4, Barcelona 0. Game of the season. Oh, which brings us on to our forfeit.
Yeah, we're almost at the end of the podcast, and now Owen knows what he's got to do. So, why are we putting Owen through what we've got to do? Well, we played Chelsea, as we mentioned before, in the game we won 2-0 with that Salah phenomenal strike, and Owen thought we'd lose. This is usually the time of the podcast where we do like a fitness or a exercise-based challenge, because I did you did Surrey Dance 2 years ago.
Yeah, you did.
I did a gym workout.
Liverpool themed workout.
And this time we keep it simple, but with the challenge it's actually probably quite tricky.
Yeah.
100 press-up challenge.
Can I make a proposition to you, Matt?
Yes.
That while I'm doing these 100 press-ups, you start doing a Lifetime Achievement Award. Because if not, this is going to take me quite a while.
Well, I tell you what, we'll start with you. We're listening to you struggle.
Okay.
And then we'll move on from there.
A bit like the sandwich incident.
Yeah.
Which you still haven't finished.
I won't do that.
Poor sandwich.
I would literally rather run away and never do this again in my life. That was horrific. Also, I don't want to throw up on the podcast. I really don't.
All right.
Okay.
Here we
Owen,
go.
how are you feeling about this right now? Can you just tell us?
Bloody awful.
Well, 100 press-ups, it's not that bad, is it?
When was the last time you did 50 press-ups, Matt?
When I went to the gym a couple of years ago.
A couple of years ago, yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so now we're looking at Owen. So hold on a minute. I'm going to move out of the way. I'm going to move my chair out of the way. Okay. So, essentially, the name of the game is that Owen's got to do 100 press-ups. It doesn't matter how long it takes, as long as he does. Whoop. Oh, God, this chair is awful. There we go. So, it's not a complicated challenge, but you don't work out much, do you?
Nope.
No, okay. That's fine. So, what's your tactic for this? What's your plan? What's the kind of idea?
Just do 100 press-ups, I think, is probably what I'm aiming for.
I mean, admittedly, that's what you have to do.
I don't know if there's much more tactic to it, really.
No. And I'll watch you to make sure you're doing good press-ups. Because if you do, like, the pathetic ones, I'm like, nah, yeah.
Pathetic, because it's 12:30 in the morning, and I've been sat here talking and, more importantly, drinking for 9.5 hours.
Well, this is perfect. This is a good way of, like, reducing some of the calories, just getting some of the energy out, you know.
Yes, because right now I'm overflowing with energy.
Yeah, exactly. Gets the adrenaline will pump and stuff. So, okay, get yourself in prime position. In 3, 2, 1, begin. Okay, so this is going well so far. He's done 2, 3, 4. So, okay, that's all right. He's up to. You've done 6.
I've done 10. I'm having a break every 10.
Are you sure?
Yeah, you started talking, so you stopped counting.
Alright, fine. Yeah. We've got a long way to go at this point, I think. I think he's gonna struggle.
I think moving on to a lifetime achievement might be a good idea.
It might be a good idea. At the same time, I kind of want to hear how you struggle.
Yeah, you will.
In fact, I'm going to point the mic at you. I think that'll be more fun. Hang on. I am back, and now I'm on a live mic. This is quite interesting. Essentially, I feel like a presenter. Here we go. He's on 20. So, Owen, you've done a fifth of them. How are you feeling?
It's fine. Yeah, it's not quite as. I'm gonna struggle. I think.
He's gonna struggle. I mean, so I don't strike you. You don't strike me sort of guy who. He's taking his shoes off. This is exciting. He's gonna get his knobbly bobbly socks out. Hang on a minute. Those are sleeping socks.
No, they're not. They're trampolining socks.
Trampolining?
Yeah.
When was the last time you went trampolining?
Last summer.
Why did you go last summer?
Because I've not had time since.
But hang on, why did you go in the first place? Was there like an event you went to, or?
No, there's a place called Free Dog in Swindon, which is like a trampoline park, and they give you socks.
Okay, so we're at 20 right now. So 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. I'm essentially counting. 27, 28, 29. Here we go. He's up to 30. That's good. That's good. So you're a third of the way, nearly. At this point, how are you feeling?
I'm good. I'm about as far through my press-ups now as you got through your sandwich, so that's good.
All right, you. I'll have the next beer.
Do it.
While I'm watching this. I mean, this is the first forfeit you've done. Like, you've basically got away with it for the entire day.
Well, it's because I'm good at predicting results.
Except I won massively. So.
I know, but I won where it counts.
You did, until now.
Yeah, well, I didn't have to eat the cockle sandwich.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. We're on 31. 31. 32. 33. 34. 35. You're quite good at these. 36. 7. 38. 39. 40. There we go. You're quite good. Your technique's good. Where did you learn your technique?
It's just intuition, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's the way.
Intuition, like, being able to sort of anticipate, like, dangerous situations. Essentially.
Very similar.
Okay. Here you go. He's now peeling his socks.
I'm not peeling my socks, I'm scratching my foot.
Ah, I see.
I've got athlete's foot, it's very painful.
So, do you think this will inspire you to, like, do more exercise in the future?
Oh, God, no.
Okay, that's fine. That's 50. So he's halfway. He's halfway. Remember, this isn't being filmed. Remember how I had to, like, flab my flab around on camera? You don't have to do that.
No. I'm glad.
Exactly.
Because I don't. It's not a pretty sight. It's not a pretty sight.
Oh, but you're a beautiful man, mate. You're okay.
Thanks, mate.
51, 52, 53, 54. So he's going to carry on. There we go. So you got 40 left. That's not too bad. How's your arms feeling?
Painful.
Yeah. How often do you do this?
This is the first time in about 10 years.
Great. Well, at least that makes it better, if anything, because you struggle massively. Okay, so I decided to sit down at this point. I've been watching him suffer. So here we go. Oh, he's better at the pace. So 9, 10. Oh, here we go. He's going to go for it. He's going for it. Get rid of this. Get rid of the challenge.
100.
100. Oh, and he stood up as well. Phenomenal work, son. Here, take your own microphone because I nicked it.
Oh,
how was that?
Quite painful.
Yeah?
The old,
You seem to deal with it okay, though.
Yeah, it wasn't quite as... It didn't finish me off quite like I thought it would.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think I was so knackered to begin with.
Just kept you knackered.
To be honest, doing 100 press-ups turns out couldn't make me much more knackered than I already was. So, yeah. What's the next category, Matt?
Our next category, because we've got 2 left, and our next category is the one that we always use to celebrate the history of Liverpool, and particularly somebody who maybe has affected that massively. And it's the Lifetime Achievement Award.
Yeah, it is.
And we wanted to celebrate statistically the greatest manager we've ever had.
Well, 100 years certainly to the year since the birth of the first British manager to win the European Cup 3 times. The man who criminally was denied a knighthood, it's Sir Bob Paisley.
Sir Bob Paisley.
The gentle giant. The man who told his players as they were driving into Paris, down the Champs-Élysées, on the way to the 1978 European Cup final, or 77, can't remember which one it was, maybe 1981. I'm too tired to actually recall accurately.
But he turned around and said, "The last time I drove down here, lads, I was in a tank liberating Paris from the Nazis."
Bloody hell.
That's
an extraordinary story in itself, right?
Now there's a man.
Bob Paisley. We don't necessarily mention, because obviously Bill Shankly is the first name you mention when you mention great Liverpool managers. Bob Paisley's always the second, right? Let's be honest, it is. But he won 3 European trophies for us, which is extraordinary.
Extraordinary.
Like, it blows my mind that someone could do that. Particularly, like, like in this modern era, which essentially the 70s was, And not only that, he was such a big part of Liverpool throughout his entire career. He was everything from like kit man, physio, he's a left winger for us. He played everything in the first place. Like, he was Liverpool through and through. From the moment he was born to the moment he passed away.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And he's also won like so many championships for us.
Manager of the year a few times.
What a wonderful man.
The league a few times, the League Cup. And Shankly was one of our greatest managers ever, but he had this swagger about him. But Bob Paisley was the complete opposite, whereas Shankly was much more of the sort of, you could see that Brian Clough was kind of had echoes of Shankly in him. That sense of ego, in the truest sense, and that sense of confidence and quite justified arrogance, whereas Bob Paisley was the complete opposite. He was a model of humility. The night before one of the European Cup finals, everyone was wondering where he was. They were worried about him, that he might not be able to cope with the pressure. I went up to his hotel room and found him there in a soup-stained jumper and his carpet slippers watching Coronation Street on the hotel television.
That's beautiful.
And that was Bob Paisley in a nutshell.
A very humble, a beautiful man who...
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna read you this. So, between 1937 and 1939, he was part of playing career of Bishop Auckland.
Up in sort of County Durham.
He joined us then in 1939. And when did he leave? 1983.
83, yeah, when Joe Fagan took over.
45 years as a player and then manager.
And
that is unthinkable now.
Assistant manager in most of the coaching roles before that as well.
It's insane. And as you say, he oversaw 3 European Cups. I think that is the biggest legacy he's ever left. Bill Shankly has always been the guy with the quotes, with the words, with the names, and with the league titles. He's been like the greatest manager Liverpool ever had, right? Yeah. Bob Paisley gave us half of our European trophies.
Yeah.
Half.
And up until this year, more than half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do we not consider him as the greatest manager Liverpool ever had?
I don't know. I think because Shankly literally revolutionised a club that was at that point in second division and took him to the cusp of European greatness.
Of course.
Some more stats.
But he was not. Shankly was not like a Liverpool born and bred guy like Bill Paisley was.
Well, Paisley wasn't Liverpool born and bred,
No.
Durham, but
yeah, but at the same time, like he's only a Liverpool boy.
Yeah.
In a way that Shankly wasn't.
No, but Shankly had that sort of bill Paisley, Bob Paisley, sorry. When he retired, he won Manager of the Year 6 times. That was a record. He's still one of only 3 managers to win the European Cup 3 times.
Ancelotti and
Zinedine Zidane.
Which is, yeah.
He was the first. He's one of only 5 people to have won the English League Championship at the same club as player and manager.
Which is crazy.
The others being Bill Nicholson from Spurs, Howard Kendall from Everton, George Graham at Arsenal, and our own Sir Kenny Dalglish.
Of course, yeah.
Who technically did it in one season when he was player manager. He, like you say, he did everything for the club. He was player, he was captain, he was reserve team coach, he was chief physiotherapist, he was assistant manager, he was manager. There were a few like him. And it pains me, actually, that we've let this centenary of the year of his birth go by, nearly, without the erection of a statue to him at Anfield.
What to the extent where I almost assumed it was there. Because when you go legendary Liverpool managers, Bill Shankly, Bob Paisley, that's the 2, immediately. Obviously, Bill Shankly has, everything he has around Anfield. Bob Paisley has nothing.
But he's got the Paisley Gates,
But
which are really nice and ornate and have got like the 3 European Cups
But
on and
most
his
people
mining
don't-
lamp and all. But
most people don't know that's the case. Do you know what I mean?
well, it's not as obvious as Shankly statue, certainly.
No.
And I just don't understand what the justification is for not having a statue of him, particularly this year in this landmark anniversary.
Yeah.
And I would really like that to happen. And in 2 years' time, when it's the centenary of the birth of Joe Fagan, our next legendary manager, and for a long time one of only 2 managers we've ever had lift the European Cup with us, I'd like a statue of him as well. And I would eventually.
What about Matt McQueen?
Yeah.
Because I genuinely, since you introduced me to him, I think he's the most underappreciated player we've ever had in any capacity whatsoever.
No, I don't disagree.
He played in goal for us, for God's sake.
He was great, but
Yeah.
in terms of the immortal, I guess it's from a different era when these kind of exploits weren't recorded quite so much. Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at some of the more weird stats that we've got for Bob Paisley. ESPN voted him the 4th greatest manager of all time.
Not high enough.
Yeah. European Coach of the Season in 77. European Coach of the Year in 81. Football Manager Manager of the Year for 5 years running. I mean, it's crazy. Like, he's essentially the 2nd greatest coach we've ever had.
Yeah,
But he's won more than Shankly has.
he has.
So, like,
He could almost be
How?
the unsung hero, couldn't he?
possibly. The fact we're mentioning him now is like, lifetime achievement award for a player who, a man who hasn't been with us for a long time. But we're only just talking about him. That is insane.
Well, it's nice to have an excuse to. Do you know what I mean? It's nice that we've got this anniversary that we can celebrate. But
With his centenary. Bob Paisley. I think we deserve to talk about him on this podcast.
yeah,
It's been a long time.
our lifetime achievement award, Sir Bob Paisley.
Sir Bob Paisley. Thank you for everything. And with that, the last Plastic Scouser award of the season. The last nomination, the last award. We have one very, very shiny award to give out.
And it is the Player of the Year title.
Player of the Year. Always the biggest award of the season. And there's probably only one player we should talk about at this point.
Well, I don't know, but who are you saying?
Virgil van Dijk.
Okay.
A man who
can't
has
argue that, but go on.
a man who's essentially, for the moment he came in, fixed Liverpool Football Club. Like, I don't remember any time a player has come in and has such an effect on such a significant issue within the team so quickly. Like, before Van Dijk, right, 18 months ago, we were in a situation where defensively we weren't great. We conceded a lot of goals. We were constantly judged because Joel Matip or Dejan Lovren or Joe Gomez were making mistakes all the time. Now, we are the best defence in Europe. Now, we are the most admired and, like, considered defence in the Premier League, for sure. Van Dijk fixed everything. And not only did he do that, he did that with an extraordinary level of quality, an extraordinary level of composure, desire, passion to play for Liverpool, and ability to just make sure that whatever happened, like, it didn't matter what would happen before in terms of the forward line, he would make sure it worked. And not only for him, for everyone around him as well. That is such an amazing, like, ability to have.
He's one of those players who improves the whole team by being in it. And we've not had a player like that since probably Gerrard. A player who lifts up every other player in that team. So if not his level, then very close to his level. It's a very, very rare skill indeed.
And look at our record since he joined. Like so many more goals conceded before he joined up.
Yeah.
Whenever he's on the pitch, I always think everything's fine. Everything's going to be okay. Van Dijk's on the pitch.
Well, you've always got that safety blanket, haven't you?
Yeah, which he is.
He's a talisman. He is an actual talisman in the truest sense of the word.
even if we're going to be in trouble defensively because, the opposite team have, good attacking players, it's okay. Van Dijk will deal with it. Van Dijk will make sure everything's okay. Even if we concede a goal, it won't be Van Dijk's fault because it never has been. Or it so rarely has been, it's almost impossible to imagine. And I can't remember the last Liverpool defender who made me feel like this. Jamie Carragher never made me feel like this. Sammy Hyypiä never really made me feel like this.
Sammy Hyypiä is the closest sort of predecessor to Van Dijk.
But what an extraordinary player you have to be to do that. I mean, we should be celebrating him so much.
Is he your only nomination?
No, but Ballon d'Or favourite, Champions League Player of the Year, Premier League Player of the Year.
Be nice to think you could get the Ballon d'Or.
Player of the Year.
PFA Player of the Year?
Yeah. In the way that last year Salah had to win it, this year Virgil van Dijk has to be the best player Liverpool have played in years.
No, well, I'm wondering who... I mean, there's other people we can say, but they don't come close, do they?
Well, let's say them.
Alisson.
I mean, yeah.
Most of what you just said about...
What an extraordinary season he's had.
Most of what you just said about Virgil van Dijk, you could say about Alisson, and that for the first time in nearly 10 years, we've got a keeper that you just inherently trust.
It's been a long time, right?
Since midway through Pepe Reina's Liverpool career. Towards the end of his career, he was well off the boil.
Yeah.
And people forget that. They want to think of the good times, but, it's been nearly a decade since we had anyone of the calibre that Alisson's gotten again. He makes everyone else in that team better. He's not quite got the calmness, the composure, or the leadership of Van Dijk, but those are basically the only things he's missing from everything we just said about Van Dijk. Otherwise, you could say almost a whole same conversation again.
Oh, he solved a lot of problems with our, defensive line. And he made saves that Karius or Mignolet would never have made.
Yeah.
I mentioned Napoli, but also, Champions League final against Spurs. Or, particularly in the first half against Barcelona as well, where we were struggling, we're not struggling, but they had a few big chances and he made the saves that mattered.
Before we have the momentum going.
Yeah, but he makes the saves that matters. And yeah, he played out from the back, almost dramatically last season, to the point where, well, actually, when he played out against Leicester and they scored from it.
Yeah, that wasn't ideal, was it?
But
that feels a very long time ago.
But it was this season. But what I want to say about that is that he learnt from that. It didn't happen again, did it?
No.
And actually, that is a fantastic admission from a player that I have done it wrong, and then learning that I need to do it better. And he did. That is phenomenal. Oh, I love Alisson Becker so much.
So who else is there, other than those two, which are the two obvious front runners?
So the two obvious front runners, yeah, I've also put in there Sadio Mane is my forward player of the year. Because he doesn't get the respect he deserves, despite the fact I think he's been our best forward player all year.
Yeah,
he's constantly scored goals when he needed to. He's always been there when we needed him. When other players have been injured, Firmino, Salah against Barcelona, Mane was still there. And he worked his nut off, and he never ever looked like he wouldn't be a contributing factor. And he doesn't mind not being front and centre of attention. Do you know what I mean? If Salah's centre or Firmino centre of attention, he's okay with that. But he always contributes. He never ever doesn't do something good for the team in a game. Whether it be scoring goals or creating goals or making good passes or at least trying his best. I've never, whenever Liverpool don't play well, for example, you'll always hear Mane tried his best, he was working hard, he was the best player on the pitch for Liverpool. It's phenomenally difficult to do that when things aren't going well for you. But he just has this constant ability to keep pushing and keep trying and keep wanting to do the right thing. And I love him for it.
He's a very likeable player.
I
mean, we should mention Mo Salah as well, because he's had a good season again.
Well, absolutely, he's on my list, yeah, for sure. But he didn't have the season he had last season. And the problem with Salah is that he had such a significant impact on the team, but other players had more significant impacts, if that makes sense.
No, totally.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Who else is on your list?
Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Okay, go on.
Which is the whole reason that I didn't put him in like a young player of the year or whatever. He doesn't need to be there anymore. He has the most assists for a defender Liverpool have had in forever. He's a right back who got like 14, 15 assists. And not only that, he's a 19-year-old kid who is not only a Liverpool regular, but a Liverpool star. And he's a Scouser who grew up down the f***ing road. Like, if you think about those things in context, that is insane.
And he's very good at chess.
We are so lucky, and we have waited so long for a Scouser we can get behind.
Yeah. Well, we've had a lot of false dawns in that respect with people like Jordan Rossiter, Cameron Brannigan, even to an extent John Flanagan with Scouse Cafu. You know, they didn't really last in the team.
Yeah.
People like Jay Spearing as well, going back a bit further. Stephen Warnock. You know, so it's nice to have one that's actually established and one of the first names on the team sheet, rather than a kind of academy kid you put on from the bench in sort of the mid-table games.
But that's because he's good enough.
Yeah.
The truth of the matter is, he's got a bloody mural down the road from the stadium.
Yeah, I really want to see that.
I would love to go and I'd love to be there as well. And it's because he is that good and has been that important to us, and he's goddamn 20 years old.
So who are the others?
Okay, who are my others? Andy Robertson deserves to be mentioned in the same breath.
Yeah. I don't think he's up there with Van Dijk, but he's been a hell of a player for us this season.
Certainly in the early season, like the fact he got like so many assists so early on. And let's be honest, our left back position last year or 2 years ago was awful.
Yeah.
We had no cover there. He came in, was second to Moreno, has then usurped him, and is now the best left back in Europe.
Yeah.
What an extraordinary rise for a guy who's like, you know, a 25-year-old Scotsman.
And you really don't
From Hull.
You really don't get many Scottish world-class players. No disrespect to Scotland. But when was the last time you thought of a world-class player like who was one of the world's best in their position and they were Scottish?
The funny thing is, two of them are both left backs, but Kieran Tierney and Andy Robertson.
Kieran Tierney's not world-class. He's good.
I think he could be.
He could be, but we all could
He's
be.
He's at a club that can help. But all I'm saying is, Scotland are very unlucky because their best players are both left backs.
Yeah, but he's basically like Scotland's answer to Gareth Bale. That kind of once-in-a-generation player who in the national team is surrounded by pretty mediocre dross.
Yeah.
I think he's worth mentioning, but I don't think he's got a chance of winning it, to be honest.
I've got a couple others though. James Milner.
Okay. Don't think he's had his best season for us.
But then he never will.
Well, that doesn't make sense.
But think
At
about
some point,
it, right?
he's got to have his best season for us.
James Milner. What you have to understand about him is that he will never ever be player of the year. He won't be, because he's not the type of player who is both talented enough or indeed influential enough to make that happen.
No.
What he is so extraordinarily important to us that underappreciating him is to the detriment not only of us but to any team who, you know, doesn't consider us. I think James Milner, like, we'll never give him an award. And honestly, I put him in here because I think, well, he's not an unsung hero. Because everyone who knows James Milner now puts him as
he's pretty sung.
Yeah. So essentially, he should now be. If you're not going to be an unsung hero, you should be in the Player of the Year category.
But that's a lot of our players. Surely, I think we need to be a bit more selective.
Well, if they're good at, you know, if they've done well enough to significantly move the way forward.
Champions League medalers doing pretty well. Who else have we got?
Divock Origi. I thought I couldn't not. To be fair,
No.
like, he hasn't been brilliant all season, but every goal he scored has somehow been massively important.
I think we've it says a lot about Divock Origi that we've talked about basically every goal he's scored as nomination for one of the categories so far in these awards.
But is that not? Like,
He's
think about
probably
it.
the most nominated player so far.
But that is extraordinary.
Whether it's best moment, best goal, best game, like.
But that's like, to be the kind of player who scores only important goals. What? That's mad. You know? I would love to be that kind of player. You know? But just, I don't know. Anyway, my last nomination was Jorginho Wijnaldum. Only because he has essentially never put a foot wrong, done enough to suggest that he is very important to us for many reasons, and he's never let anyone down ever.
No, but I think the criteria needs to be a bit higher than that. You know, he's as most of our players this season, to be honest, haven't put a foot wrong. But I take him on board as nominations. But I think we're looking at it's a two-way fight for this.
Two-way fight. There's one player should win it.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's Virgil van Dijk then, is it?
Of course it is.
To Virgil van Dijk, Player of the Year 2018-19.
Balloon d'Or winner 2019. And with that, we are at the end of the award ceremony. Owen is
Flagging somewhat.
Yeah, flagging a little bit. Unfortunately, he's got to perk himself a little bit because we're going to sing ourselves out, as we always do, with the final forfeit of the Plastic Scousers, which unfortunately this year Owen lost.
Such is life.
Well, you know, I've done the last 2 or 3. Like it's been, you know, it's been a while since you've had to do this, so
Yeah.
don't complain too much.
Did you hear me complaining too much?
Often, but not now. We've got karaoke machine out. It's like, you know, end of the night, we're all a bit drunk. Let's just like have a sing along and celebrate what happened and celebrate the night, you know. Yeah. It's my choice because as the non-singer of this category, I get to choose a song. So in the past, I've had James sit down. That was me. I also had Reasons to Be Cheerful Part 3, which was really hard. Yeah. That was really hard. And then I gave you The Streets in the first year. This year, let's keep it simple, but let's also reflect on what has been, Owen, an extraordinary season.
Extraordinary.
We are the European champions.
My friends.
We are the best team in Europe, yeah?
Till the end.
And I think we should celebrate that in the best way possible.
Yep.
1, 2, 3.
I've paid my dues, time after time. I've done my sentence, but committed no crime. And bad mistakes, I've made a few. I've had my share of sand kicked in my face, but I've come through. On and on and on and on. We are the champions, my friend.
Sing it louder, Owen. Sing it louder.
And we'll keep on fighting till the end. Because we are the champions. We are the champions. No time for losers, 'cause we are the champions of
the
Europe.
world.
Once we've beaten Hein Genie Sport and Flamengo, taken my bows and my curtain calls. You brought me fame and fortune and everything that goes with it. I thank you all. There's been no bed of roses, no pleasure cruise. I consider it a challenge before the whole human race, and I ain't gonna lose. On and on and on and on. We are the champions, my friends. And we'll keep on fighting till the end. We are the champions. We are the champions. No time for losers, 'cause we are the champions of the world. My friends, and we'll keep on fighting Simpson to Joe Matip. Joe Matip to Origi. Never Origi scores.
We are the
Liverpool are champions of Europe for the 6th time.
Champions.
No time for losers, 'cause we are the champions of Europe 2019.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the Plastic Scousers Podcast Awards 2018-19. What a year! What a year!
Been a good season, on balance.
Good season.
Been a pretty good season.
Won Champions League.
I'm happy with that.
So yeah, we'll be back. We'll be back sort of next year. Things are going to change a little bit.
We don't know where and we don't know when, but we will be back.
We will be back. But for now, I'm really grateful, and I'm sure Owen is as well, for you for listening.
Thank you very much.
And congratulations to all the winners of all their awards. And I'm glad I didn't have to eat all that sandwich because it was so bad. But Liverpool Football Club, Champions League winners, European Cup holders, 2019.
Champions of Europe.
We've waited. Owen and
believers.
Owen and I have waited 5 years for this.
I've waited bloody 14 years.
We have years. So look, we're gonna give each other a little embrace. Here's a little embrace. What is this, Mike?
It's the sound of an embrace.
It's the sound of an embrace. We'll see you again soon. But for now, thank you very much for listening. If you want to complain at us, I'm at MTH Simpson.
I'm at OGB Collins.
And we'll see you again next year. For now, good night, God bless, and we're going to piss off.
Can't argue with that.
Oh, I am a Liverpudlian, and I come from the Spion Cup. I love to sing, I love to shout, I get thrown out quite a lot. We support the team that's dressed in red. It's a team that you all know. It's a team that we call Liverpool, and to glory we will go. We've won the league.